Hey,
Yeah. Just
run in
bring him
here
in
and
and
say
smack
something
him.
wacky. Yeah. Come injure yourself or something silly.
Yeah.
Hurry. We haven't even
Yeah.
started yet, but
Sacrifice
like
sacrifice your body for the cause.
that was abrupt and frightening. Thank you.
Oh my god.
I'm more awake. Oh yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to another Atmos video. We're back with the commons and uncommons. We got Gabe here. Mango's taking this one off because we're going to try to speed run this as quick as possible, so we're really relying on some limited experience here. Not that our limited experience is anything close to limited resources. They put out this video this morning. We have not cheated and watched it, so you'll be getting our unedited
Haven't had the time.
impressions. Yeah, but if you actually want what the pros say, there's none better than Luis Scott Vargas. Go watch that video. So like I said, we're going to be speed running this, trying to go as fast as possible. We'll see what benchmark we can hit. We went a little long on the rares and mythics because those are just a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
basically, one of us will be doing a take. The other person will have a chance for the rebuttal, and then the last person will be able to make a noise as we go on to the next card. We're going to be starting with the multicolored cards, of which there's more in this set because that provides the signposts for the colors combinations. And the Ravnica block is a guild set. It's the Ravnica Guild, so that's why we have more multicolored. But before we get started on all that, we did want to just take a moment and go over the mechanics because there's a lot of mechanics in this set. There's a lot of words in this set. So this is definitely going to be a pretty intense review. We're going to do it as fast as possible, starting off with the mechanics. You ready, Gabe?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. All right. So we have investigate. That's a easy returning mechanic. So that just means you create an artifact clue token that at any time you can pay 2 mana, 2 colorless mana, and sacrifice to draw a card. So right off the snap, that shows that we could have some tokens energies, we could have some artifacts energies, anything that energizes with drawing cards is necessarily going
Yeah.
to be a
Yeah.
little better.
And for limited, there's going to be a lot of card draw in all colors because of
Yep.
investigate.
Yes, exactly. That's a good point. Where normally that's more maybe blue relegated. All the colors will have access to it. It'll always be interesting to see how much they tack it on for free. Like, are we going to get the 1/1 for 1 that investigates on ETB? My guess
Yeah.
is probably, but we'll see.
Probably.
And
Yeah.
those are always good, right? If you ever just tack on draw a card onto something, we're very, very interested in it. Cases is a new enchantment type, which is kind of similar to oh shoot, what
Saga adjacent.
sagas? Thank you. Yes, saga adjacent. Exactly. It's like a saga, but you dictate how quickly you get on the sagas. So they basically
Yes.
all do something on ETB. Then you have to jump through a hoop in order to solve them, and then they just have like some static solved ability, right? Like once you jump through the hoop.
Yes, but
Um,
you have to pay attention to those because some of them you have to sacrifice, some of them
yes,
once you solve them they stay static, so like make sure you're
yes.
paying attention to that.
Excellent point. Yeah, it was actually interesting to me how many of them in the rares and mythics that we saw sack right in order to do something. So it's like it
Like
turned into a spell
2 or 3.
again. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's almost like templating in order to create 2 sorceries, right? Like a sorcery,
Yes.
then the sorcery hangs around. You also get some enchantment energies that are also susceptible to enchantment hate. Like I saw a comment on
Absolutely.
that skeleton one that we were high on that turns into
Hmm.
demonic tutor. He was because
Yes.
we were like, hey, it's a like a skeleton that's pretty good that has menace that then turns into demonic tutor later, and then a guy had a take that was like, actually, this is diabolic tutor that's vulnerable to enchantment hate, and I was like, fair, like that's also
Yeah,
a fair
yeah.
take. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how those are at this rarity level. Really, I assume we're going to see most of them in uncommon, right? Because it's kind of a more complex card, but we'll see that. Collect evidence. This was one that I don't know. Some idiots were like really slow on the uptake and thought that involved creature power, but
I couldn't imagine who that was.
yeah, us being much more intelligent have always known that it was the converted mana cost of cards. So what collect evidence says is it seems like it's typically an additional cost or really just a cost period because we even saw it as ward, right? But basically it's collect evidence X, and in order to pay that X or whatever number collect evidence is, like 8, you need to exile 8 or more converted mana cost from your graveyard. Doesn't care about type. Any converted mana cost. So this is going to put a premium on self mill, rummaging, looting. Any
Yep.
of these sort of effects that can help Trading off is going to be interesting, right? You might be more interested in trading off cards simply to power some powerful evidence, collect evidence effects that you have.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting. Suspect is one of even the most interesting mechanics they've ever printed, because Suspect says it's like a status effect on a creature. They'll probably have a little punch out Suspect token in your pre-release kit to mark something as suspected, because they like doing that. But basically that means that the creature that is suspected has menace and can't block. So the reason that's so interesting, right, is it can be used both offensively and, well, it's really just offensively, but it can be used offensively in two different ways. You can use it offensively to give your own creature menace, so it's harder to block, or you can suspect an opposing creature so that it cannot block, right?
Yeah.
So they're both offensive, but in different ways. And then there's, so it's positive in the sense that it's aggressive in the way that you're attacking, but it's also generally a negative status effect in how it synergizes with other cards, like deal damage to the card, but if it's suspected, kill it instead. So really interested to see how free of a status effect suspect is, right? Like how much does it just come stapled on to an already solid value card? My guess
that'll
is
be very interesting.
Yeah, my guess is it's basically free. We're gonna see, but my guess is it's like a 3/3 for 3 that suspects something, you know.
There's gonna be a 2/1 flyer with Suspect for like
Nice,
2.
nice. Yeah, we should be placing bets now. What we'll see,
Yeah.
because that's the thing about limited set design right
And
now.
a run limited.
Yeah, you have so many slots that are just filled in every set, and then it's like staple on set mechanic to X slot of this type.
Yeah.
So one of the most interesting ones, right? We're on the last mechanic now. It's kind of a combo mechanic. Disguise and Cloak. Disguise is the newest take on Morph. I think it's a really cool one. It's just Morph upgraded. You can pay 3 mana for something that has Disguise to play it face down as a 2/2 creature, but now it has Ward 2. So that's the improvement on Morph. And then at any time, you can turn it face up as an instant for its Disguise cost. So that's really cool. Cloak is interesting in the sense that cloaking a card is basically putting it face down as a 2/2 creature with Ward 2, but things can cloak cards that are not creatures. You could like cloak a land off the top of your deck is something that a card can do, and it can make it a creature, but it can never be turned face up. If you cloak a creature that does not have Disguise, so like you did randomly cloak something, or there's an option to cloak something out of your hand, and it doesn't have Disguise, but it is a creature, you can still uncloak it, you can undisguise it by paying that creature's mana cost at any time as an instant.
Broken.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing about that is, this is maybe getting a little too in the weeds here, but Morph has had this design rule of they never print a creature that can unmorph or undisguise with power or that with toughness greater than 2 for less than 5 mana. This is to avoid the feels bad of, oh, I unmorph something, for 3 mana and just eat your creature in combat because you blocked with 2 power, right? Now I have 3 toughness. So they just remove that from the design space for anything that unmorphs less than 5. However, Cloak basically invalidates that to some extent. That's still the rule for disguising. But Cloak,
I think Cloak is dangerous.
Cloak is dangerous, right? So if someone ever cloaks something and does not intentionally cast it with Disguise, just be aware that that could be a 3/3 for 3 that they can turn up for 3 and eat your creature. So, all right, we've gone over all the mechanics. We're already behind on the speed run. We're gonna have to pick it up even more. Getting right into it. Can you take Wisp-Drinker Vampire? I think you have some experience saying this card's name.
I've never seen this card. I've never experienced this card. All right, Wisp-Drinker Vampire, 2 white and a black. Creature Vampire Rogue at uncommon, and it's a 2/4 flyer. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Creatures you control with power 2 or less gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn, and that's activated cost at 7.
7.
Which is a lot.
5.
But that's a big effect.
Yeah.
In limited, and a 2 health swing, also pretty good in limited. I mean, this card is just a house at 4, for what it is, I think. And we'll know more with the synergies that we see later in this review, but I
Yeah,
think
so,
it's just good.
yeah,
I mean, I would give this a uh, probably a B minus,
yeah.
C plus.
Yeah. I think it's probably a C plus. So it suggests that we're interested in power 2 or less, right? Which is probably tokens,
Yep.
energies, and the Orzhov color combination. And yeah,
Yes.
this definitely is going to add up over the course of the game. Plus, just the pressure that it's going to provide by yourself. This 7 mana is like a nice kind of like
It's just
it's
nice
a
to
nice game
have.
ender, right? Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
make
If
combat
you're
impossible
you're
for your
playing a bunch
opponent.
of little stuff, if like we said before, if there's a 2-drop that just makes a clue with this card, like that's the stuff you love, and it comes down so early. Like you can definitely have enough cards in hand, I think, to immediately start getting value off of this.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, let's go on to the next one. So yeah, I agree. Probably C plus on that. Okay, so I'm gonna have an edit here for a second because I did want to say one more thing on the mechanics. So let me go back here since this was the idling. I'm just gonna edit this in later. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. So what the main takeaway from all those mechanics is what we're hoping for is a slower set. I think generally people enjoy limited when it's not just super aggro, right? When you're making a lot of interesting game decision choices. And I think from what we see, specifically the morph ability, like that is necessarily a slower ability, right? Because you're playing 2/2s for 3. You know, in general, a 2/2 ward for 3 is not a playable card in the limited that we've seen these days, right? Like that's just too slow. And then also even like investigating, right? Like that takes mana to sink to draw a card. Like all the mechanics I think that we've seen are necessarily slow mechanics. Like collect evidence that requires things to be in your yard. You know, you just don't start with cars in your yard. So the way that I'm just getting from the mechanics is it's painting this to be a slower, more methodical sort of set, which I think is going to be great if they pull it off. So we'll see if the cards are tuned for that.
I think it'll be really fun if it does work out this way. But also, assuming it does work this way, this card is probably closer to a B plus. If it's a slow meta, this card is very good.
Yeah. It'll make your opponent's life miserable. Okay, here we go. Undercover Crocodile. Sure. 4 green blue for a common elf crocodile detective 5/5. Whenever Undercover Crocodile deals combat damage to a player, investigate. Okay? And it disguises for 5. Okay, so the idea here, right, is that you play this guy face down, and then, like, right before you deal combat damage with no blockers, you flip him face up, and you've got a 5/5, and you're, like, kind of drawing a card, right? And this is an example of where undisguising or uncloaking for 5 can eat another creature, right? 5 is that break point where they will allow you to eat another creature, because obviously 5 toughness is much greater than 2. But yeah, this I think is your replaceable sort of high end. This is like a C minus. I think I don't like a 5/5 for 6 is not great. This is
Yeah, I'm
this
not
is a C
excited about
minus.
it.
Yeah, wait, yeah, we'll have to know more. But right now, that's just not too impressive. Maybe even a D plus. We'll have to see what the
Oh,
6 slot is.
oh, I like her. 10 Street Gossip.
Yeah,
2 red and a green creature. Biashino advisor at uncommon, and it's a 4/4. Vigilance. Tap to add red green. Spend this mana only to cast face down spells or turn creatures face up. Okay. So this card is either pretty good or really bad.
I
And
think
I
this is
think it's
good all the time.
really.
It's a 4/4 vigilance for 4 with like
Oh,
double mana ramp. Like
with really good upside. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm on board all the
Yeah.
time.
Okay, yeah. So B. So B.
I would say
When
probably
you
just a
say it
solid
like
B.
that, Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, I
I mean,
convinced you. I
it's a
convinced you.
4/4 for 4,
Well,
and it's vigilance.
so
Like
I
that by itself is cool.
so I think the coolest thing here, right, is that you can attack with this, and since it has
Yes.
vigilance, you're holding
And
up disguise tricks in combat. Like this attacking in something face down is misery for your opponents, right?
yes,
Even when you only have 4 mana, because this could
yes,
undisguise something like that other one that we
right.
saw and just blow you
And
out. So this
attack.
is Yeah, and still be attacking. So yeah, this thing's
I
a all
totally
around.
forgot about that too. Like, yeah, you can tap this at any point because it's not tapping to
Yeah.
attack itself. Yeah, yeah, sure.
And
Might
it can play face down stuff too, like post combat, right? You can disguise things with this, let alone turning them face up. Yeah, this
depending
is
on
very
how
good.
good red green turns out being, this could be
Yeah.
like
Oh, this is a first pick, I
even
think.
higher.
This is
Yeah, yeah.
B. Yeah, exactly.
B
I
plus A,
I
even if
would.
it's like really that hard into red green. But I
Yeah,
mean, I would.
we'll have to see
Green
what
does have
colors
some
have the
powerful
most.
cards.
I'm pretty sure from the rare level we saw green liking to cloak stuff. Like there was that rare that like cloaked two off the top of your deck or
Yep.
whatever. Like
Yes.
that with this
Yes.
is obviously nuts.
Mhm.
I mean that's a rare, but that's all we have to go on right now. So assuming that green and red does cloaking and disguising, I mean even without, I think this
Yeah.
is a B period upside of like a B plus.
Also,
And
I hope red has removal that disguises or cloaks something.
oh yeah, that would be wild. All right, Sumala Sentry, green and a white Selesnya for an elf archer uncommon 1/3 reach. Whenever a face down permanent you control is turned face up, put a 1/1 counter on it and a 1/1 counter on the sentry. So this is kind of like we saw before, also a build aroundy one. I from what I heard, I think the friendly color combinations. So like of the 10 guilds, the 5 guilds, which are the like red, green, white, black, blue, white. You know those combination. I missed one of them, but those color combinations have the most disguising from what I've heard. So yeah, this seems so at its face a 1/3 reach for 2 is not great, but okay. If you do this once, it's great.
It's good. Yeah.
Right? A 2/4 reach for 2 that gives something else a +1/+1 counter is great. But this is slow. So
This is slow. Yeah. I was just
this
gonna
is
say
slow.
back to if this is a slow meta for
Yeah.
limited, this
I
card is probably decent, but it's
I
not. I don't think this card's super exciting.
I think what you're looking at specifically here are the subset of cards that have a very low undisguised cost. That's maybe very obvious, but like I think the play pattern is turn 3 you disguise something, turn 4 you play this and then undisguise something in combat. Because this can again give you the blowout effect, like the invalidating the 2 toughness rule, right?
Yep.
Because this is going to make it 3
Absolutely.
toughness, and that's going to make combat absolutely miserable. So I think this might be
Yeah.
sneaky good in that play
Yeah. It
pattern. So
it does only cost 2.
yes,
So
so I'm gonna go C plus and build around B minus, assuming that you can get those low cost undisguised.
yeah. All right. Soul Search. White and a black. Sorcery at uncommon. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. Exile that card. If the card's mana value is 1 or less, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. I mean, it's a
I think
this card exists in every set in every limited format. I feel like to some extent. Um,
I think it's pretty good because it's not. So the thing that you have to check on cards like this is it's not conditional. It's just non-land card. There's no other whatever the best card in their hand is, you're grabbing it. And since we set the set slower, so the cards like this are bad in aggro sets, right? But in sealed over draft, which is always slower than draft, or if it's a slower draft set, I think this is pretty good. And if you need to, you can maybe even convert it into a 1/1. I think that's more of a constructed, like the whole second part of the card, I think is
yeah,
like at higher levels of play, this is trying to be like maybe you play this with Thoughtseize or something. You know, I'm not exactly
sure,
sure. They're
sure.
just trying to juice it a little bit because I don't think in limited you're really targeting something 1 or less. But yeah,
No,
I think it has
highly
to be a slow
unlikely.
set. Yeah, I think it has to be a slow set for this to be good. But this is as good as an effect as you're reasonably gonna get. Like they're not printing
Yeah,
Thoughtseize, so this is no downside. The best card in their hand for 2 mana
is gone.
is gone.
Sure.
So
So like, what do you put that at? Like a C minus or a
I,
C plus?
I would say C minus. It all depends on how slow it
C
is
minus. Okay.
and what else you've got going on, you know,
Right.
in these colors. It's also like I'm not picking this early, right? This is if I'm
Right.
in
Right.
Orzhov and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
for
this is
sure.
a
For sure.
C minus. I think is the definition.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Okay. Shady Informant. 3 black red for an Ogre Rogue 4/2. When Shady Informant dies, it deals 2 damage to any target. At common, by the way. and it disguises for 4. Okay, so let's think about this. Man, disguise just changes things a bit, but we have to remember that it's
Yeah.
slow because you do still have to sink the 3 mana to play it face down. I'm not
Yeah.
too excited about this. I mean, this is like the worst Flame Tongue Kvu that ever Flame Tongue Kvu'd. You know, it's a 4/2, so
Yeah.
it's the same stats as a Flame Tongue Kvu, but it's only 2 damage instead of 4, and it's only when it dies. It does do it to any target, not just creatures, so it can go face. So that's how it's better than Flame Tongue Kvu. Like, I guess it trades with 6/6s, right? That's the other thing.
It
Um,
trades with 6/6. I mean, I think this card. I mean, this card is really good for common. But I mean, I do like it because you can do some tricky stuff with it. It can possibly get 2 things off the board pretty easily and consistently.
yeah,
Um,
maybe.
and like also if you're worried about their disguise, if this is late game and they've got something that they've disguised and you're really scared of seeing what it is, and you have 6 mana, like taking out one of their targets that's warded, probably fine.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Like undisguised for 4, trade with something, shoot something else for 2, but then you have to pay the 2
Hey,
mana to. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right. It does eat other disguised things. I think was the main point there. I like
yeah, I
the
think.
flavor text. Rakdos snitches rarely survive to get stitches. Ooh,
Yeah, they don't play in
that's silly.
Rakdos.
This art's pretty wild too.
No, I'm so into this art.
Yeah, it's like a relief sort of art. Yeah, this one's
Yeah,
actually really hard for me to gauge. I hear what you're saying, but like, just the way my mind's working and the sort of set that we've had limited, like, if you're telling me you're trying to play a 4/2 for 5 in the limited that we've seen, and like the disguise is
yeah,
arguably slower, but the fact that it can trade off, like, this could realistically, like, I really like the way that you said it, this could realistically trade off for their 3 and their 4, right? Assuming that
mhm,
their 3 was also a disguise.
yes.
So you are sinking potentially turn 3 and turn 4 into it. But I'm still kind of. I think this is a C minus.
I
You can
think
have a
it's for
rebuttal.
sure slow. Yeah, I think it's for sure. I think C minus is accurate. It is very expensive. Like you do not want to be spending this much mana on a card in most limited formats. I
Okay,
don't think.
fair. On the same page. All right, let me. We'll just start at the top here and go down. No, we'll start at the bottom. Because eventually we'll hit the not multicolored.
Sanguine Savior. 1 white and a black creature, vampire, cleric at common, and it's a 2/1 lifelink flyer. You can disguise for Orzhov, white, black, 2.
Hybrid
When
Orzhov.
hybrid Orzhov.
Yeah.
When Sanguine Savior is turned face up, another target creature you control gains lifelink until end of turn. I mean, it's annoying. I mean, I don't want to spend 5 mana on this though. Like I'm always playing this for 3. I think it's a C minus as well, or maybe even a C.
Yeah, I mean, so like the Windrake test, right? A 2/2 flyer for 3 is like a C minus D plus now. Giving it lifelink is demonstratively better. Like, because
Yes, yeah,
if you
for
don't have
sure.
flyers, like you just can't race that. It's a 4 life swing in the air is brutal. But we'll have to see
Yeah.
how many things can casually hit for 1, right? Like how many, or like is there a 1, like God forbid did they print a 1/1 flyer for 1 that investigates, right? Because that would be
Right, right.
pretty
That just makes this
devastating.
card irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah. Giving something other lifelink, like you said, I think you're typically paying 3 for this. You're not super
Yeah.
interested in that because that is a lot of mana for a 2/1 flyer. So yeah, I think probably C minus is where we end up here.
Yeah.
Right. Rune Brand Juggler, a red and a black for a 2/2 uncommon. When it enters the battlefield, it's a human shaman. When it enters the battlefield, suspect up to 1 target creature. So here we go, 2/2 for 2 with suspect. So
Okay.
something gains menace and can't block. Can also be itself, by the way. And you
Yep.
can pay 5 to sacrifice a suspected creature. This would be one that you control to give something -5/-5 until end of turn. Interesting.
Mm,
God, this is actually a hard this is a hard set to speedrun. So this is a 2/2
yeah.
can't block menace for 2. So if you're in Rakdos aggressive, you're in for that. So let's just
Yeah.
start evaluate this card only by itself. if you have no other targets. It's a 2/2 menace for
Yes.
2 that can't block. That's fine. That's like a C probably, but you have to be aggressive to care. That then converts itself into a removal spell on turn 5. You just sack itself, and -5/-5 is probably going to kill most things. At instant speed, by the way, is
Yep.
also important and good. So I'm gonna say this is probably a C plus, because that's the floor, right? That's no other hijinks that are difficult to evaluate, because who knows what the board state is and how free suspecting is even at this point. Naturally, if you're just suspecting, like if these are the colors that suspect and red and black is just shitting out suspects everywhere,
Yep.
not suspects, shitting out suspects everywhere, then yeah, turning 1/1s into removal for 5. Like, imagine you have 5 open mana and like 2 suspected tokens, and you're just like, pass, your turn, remove one thing, my turn, remove your other good thing. I mean, that's huge. So yeah, I think this is like a C plus just by itself, and again, probably like a B minus to B.
Yeah. Build around for sure.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I was gonna say. I thought it was gonna. I would say if you have like an aggressive Rakdos deck, and if this gets 4 damage in and you get to sack it to kill something, even if it is just this thing, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So far, we've said build around several times with LSV and Marshall. I can't wait to read. I've been or not read, listen to. I've intentionally not listened to them, but they love build arounds. That's another indication of what they think is a good set, because it allows you to kind of center your drafts around aspects. So this is looking really good so far. Go ahead.
All right, Rift Burst Hellion, 5 red and a green creature Hellion at common, and it's a 6/7. Reach, disguise 6.
I describe you as a
I mean,
Hellion.
I mean, that would be accurate. This is quite literally one.
Yeah.
I would like to think my skincare routine is better, but I mean, this is just a big dumb thing. I don't want to spend. I'm never disguising this.
This
Like
card's this card's bad. I
this
just
card. Is there an F? I
yeah,
F.
there is an
I'm
F.
never taking this card.
This is a D minus. I mean, even if you gave this trample, I'm still saying probably D.
Yeah. A million percent.
I guess undisguising this is kind of house like eat their biggest flyer guaranteed when you undisguise it. So maybe it's just slow. I mean, we said this is a slow set, so
Sure.
we could really be eating our words here. But this
So
typically,
if there's a ton of flyers, like this set has
yeah,
vampires and angels and like other things. So
yeah,
like sure, like possibly this could be good in a meta, but like unless it is specifically good in the meta, this card is
yeah. No,
bad.
no evasion, inexpensive, not great. Also, I want to point out what the hell. This is like a Gruul specific portal. Like, look at the portal shards. Like, what? It's
Yeah.
kind of
And what a bunch
nonsense,
of
right?
what a bunch of assholes. These people are having like a lovely little,
Yeah,
like
like in a
day
market.
out on the town. Yeah, they're selling their wares, and this giant worm is like, "Fuck your
Just
life, Bing bong."
shitting Gruul confetti everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's random as hell. All right. Repulsive mutation. Ooh, this looks interesting. X green blue for an uncommon instant. All right. If it's green blue and X, it's probably counters. Put X
Yep.
+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Then counter up to 1 target spell unless its controller plays mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Okay.
Whew,
Hold the
whew,
fort.
whew.
This buries the lead. Because X
Yeah.
can be 0 and this
Yes.
can be
And
counterspell.
yes.
This is yet another mana leak, effectively unlimited, right? This is interesting. It's literally not mana leak, because on an empty board it can literally counter nothing, which is bad. But as soon as you have one thing, they can kill the creature out from under it to effectively counter this as well. Like if you have one creature, you cast this,
Yeah.
this doesn't remember the greatest power. Because now, in order to do that, they've started adding the templating that says the greatest power among creatures you controlled when you cast this. It does not say that. So this is counterable by killing the creature underneath. So you can really get blown out here. If you have one creature, you're trying to put 1/1 counters on it and counter the spell, you really get blown out. But my god, if you're playing against green-blue and they have 2 open mana and like a 3/3 in play, you're sweating because this is any spell.
This is any spell. This card is so good.
It's good, but again, it's you have to have a creature on the board. Which, I mean, green-blue is
Yeah.
probably going to have a creature on the board, but
Right.
yeah, this is. I mean, the plus. I don't know how much you care about like the X part of this that much, to be honest. You know, like I think the counterpoint is like whatever. It's like
You
fine.
could care. We haven't seen the rest of the set yet, but like, I mean, it's
care,
possibly relevant, but it's just upside. It's
Yeah.
upside on a really good
It could be a
counter
huge.
spell.
It could be even a huger blowout in combat. Is basically what that gives the ability for. Or you could not even count. You could not even care about the counter, right? You could just do the counter part of the blowout. In this, so yeah, I think this is probably like a C plus, B minus. I just think it's a little too conditional. It's just so creature dependent. You have to have a very high creature count. Very high creature count. If you have something that has hexproof, or this is better because of ward. Oh man, these game designers are crafty, right? Like ward protecting your creature and the fact that you're guaranteed to have higher creature density with cloaking. If I'm not mistaken, green-blue is probably going to be the cloak color pair, right? Because we've seen green do it. That's
It would make sense.
A blue.
We've seen blue do it. Blue did it.
So, okay. Thinking with cloak being in there, thinking about disguise having wards, I'm actually a little higher on this. This is probably like a B minus. You know, it's good. It's a
I think it could be a B plus.
It could be maybe. I mean, it's a reason to go into it, but it has a hard failure case. Top decking this is the ultimate feels bad if you have no board presence, right? You're just like literally does nothing. It just doesn't.
But if this is a slow meta where a lot of colors can churn through their cards and you are having these big board states where you are getting to a late game and someone has the opportunity to slam things, this is brutal.
Yeah. It's at parity or if ahead, it basically locks up the game. So I would say B. Yeah, maybe just a solid B as the average. All right, go ahead.
Rakish Scoundrel. 2 black and a green creature elf rogue at common, and it's a 3/3. It's a death touch creature. When Rakish Scoundrel enters the battlefield or is turned face up, target creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Huh. And it has disguise for 6.
Yeah. It has 3 powers, so it has to have the 5 hurdle. Well, the reason they made that 6 is because that ability at instant speed is
very good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely very good, and it also has death touch, so you can turn this up, block something, and probably get a really favorable trade, and probably kill something else.
And save your creature, right? Yeah.
And save your creature. I mean, yeah, this card is obviously good.
It can target itself too when it flips up. It's target creature, so you have indestructible death touch, right? Get guaranteed favorable trade basically with.
And it's an instant, so you could just do it to save it from a creature. Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's a good card. I mean, I think it's a C.
Yeah.
C plus.
I think you're probably playing this face up like 80% of the time, right? Because it does it when it ETBs as well, just indestructible. So you get to force through one combat, right? Or
I mean, it's obviously insane to have this at instant speed, but like, I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be used for combat.
I think it's a C. It's a little understated, right, for its cost, but death touch means it's going to trade with whatever. Yeah, I think this is a C.
It might be a C minus, C minus.
Yeah, I'm not over the moon about it, but all right, let's see. Private Eye, hilarious wizards. 1 white blue homunculus detective at uncommon for a 3/3. Other detectives you control get +1/+1. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, target detective can't be blocked. Okay, so obvious call out to investigate, right? It is a private eye. When you investigate, you get that second draw. Target detective, including itself, can be unblockable. A 3/3 unblockable for 3. I'm there, and it's a detective lord, which is a really interesting creature subtype to need to look
Yes.
for in this set. I'm definitely not going to remember to look for detectives.
And the flavor text. Yep, it's a vase, all right.
Yep, it's a vase. Um, yeah, I think this is good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yet again another build around. Like we're building around drawing
Detectives now.
two with investigate, and we're building around detectives. So I think this is probably like a C plus without building around, because like if you're not drawing
Is
too
that
often,
good without building around?
it's a 3/3 for 3 that is probably unblockable most, like sometimes. Like if you're in these colors, I
Sure.
think it's going to be hard to not draw a second card each turn.
Yeah, so you said like if the detectives get 1/1 doesn't matter at all, it's
Yeah,
still decent.
it's probably like a C to C plus. If you have a lot of
Fair.
detectives, it's like one of the more important cards in your deck, right? Like if there's
For sure, for
if there's
sure.
a
Yeah,
one
yeah,
one
yeah.
flying detective for 1, or like
Uh-huh.
a 2/1 flying detective for 2, this is devastating to
I'm
see on
assuming most
3.
of the yeah, I'm assuming most of the detectives are in white and blue. That would make
Yeah,
sense
yeah. Okay, so yeah,
between the two colors.
possibly even like a build around B plus. Like this could be insane if you have a
Yeah,
bunch
yeah,
of
yeah, for
detectives
sure.
and they're
Yeah.
unblockable. Like this could very well be the one of the most feared cards in the set, because like
Yes.
if the Azorius detective dex is a thing that already has evasion, and then you play this on 3 and you're like, I'm never gonna be able to block their shit, and
Yep.
they're all bigger, so yeah, bad
Good luck,
bad news.
everybody.
Oh, here you go.
No more lies. White and a blue, instant, uncommon. This, the name of this card, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Well
so
done.
good.
Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Okay, this card's just very, very good. Is this Dovin's veto or?
Dovin's veto was counter target non creature spell. This cannot be countered. This is closer to Mana Leak. Mana Leak's 1 in a blue counter target spell unless its controller plays 3. So this has no conditions on what it can counter, and it's better than Mana Leak because of the rest of the text exiling it.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, I mean this
just
card is
slightly
really,
harder to
really,
cast.
really good. Yeah.
I wonder if there's 2 designer subtweets in this. I wonder if they're subtweeting their own executives with the title. Lies
Yeah.
fester and flourish in shadow. Our job is to bathe them in light.
Yes.
Whew, that would be an intense call out of their own executives. So that maybe isn't likely. But I wonder if they're also referencing what's kind of been said before, is that they would never reprint Mana Leak. Like I'm not sure they've literally said that, but people have talked about, are you ever going to reprint Counterspell? Well, what about Mana Leak? And they're
Right.
like, no, it's just too good for what we want counters to be in Standard or even Pioneer. I'm pretty sure Mana Leak's not even legal in Pioneer. Well, this is just better, especially if you have
Yeah,
big
yeah.
mana bases. So
Right, right.
no more
And
lies. I guess we got to
no
give it
more
a grade.
lies.
What do you think? This
I
is
mean,
an
if
interesting quiz for you. What is a really
I,
good Counterspell Unlimited worth?
I mean, I would say if you're in the colors, like a B,
A B?
B plus.
If you're in the color, no, I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't say B plus. I would say, like, I'm not first picking this probably. I mean, if the pack's not
Yeah.
very good,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you're in Orzhov, you're very enthusiastic to get it. But I would say this is probably a C plus, and like you would
Okay.
value it at like a B minus level, like third pick,
I
second
know
pick
counters
probably if you're in it.
counters are generically not as good in
You know, yeah.
limited, but
I think it's
yeah.
like a C plus, maybe a B minus. All right, meddling youths. 3 red white for an uncommon human detective. 4/5 haste. Okay, that's some stats. Whenever you
Yep.
attack with 3 or more creatures, investigate. At least it counts itself. I mean, you're kind of attacking a lot with
Roll.
what are these colors? This isn't Gruul.
Roll.
Gruul's red green. No, Gruul's red green. This is
Oh, it's red white.
Boros. Boros.
Sorry. Yeah, Boros.
Boros red.
My phone was blocking the other side of or the other
You're fine.
color.
Yeah, I mean, this seems pretty good. This seems pretty good specifically because of the way that haste energizes with its ability, right? So the idea is
Yeah.
that you're slapping this and immediately getting its
Yeah.
investigate proc as well. So yeah,
I think this is it's a 4-5.
it's a
It's a
4/5
big
haste. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a big this is a C plus, right?
At least,
Like
yeah. I think
maybe
this floor is a
higher.
C plus. Yeah, I would say this could be maybe be a B minus. Depends
Yeah.
if you can throw this deck together that can like get in there. Like maybe, oh, my dream deck would be just the. This is a detective. Jeskai
Ooh.
detectives. You got your
Jeskai
private.
detective.
You got your private eye giving things unblockable with because you don't need to
Ooh.
give this unblockable. Private eye gives
Yeah.
itself
Yeah.
unblockable, and you're investigating
Right.
more. Yeah, Jeskai detectives. That's the dream meta already, and we've just begun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
B
especially
minus
if
here, maybe
if
B
it's a
even.
slower set in general too, and like you can just go Boros. That'd be sick.
Oh,
So.
you got no more lives. You're like, oh my god, it's lightning helix. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So not only is this Lightning Helix, which needs no introduction,
Mhm.
but this art for Lightning Helix really gets me going at least.
Okay, so here's
And
we know what it does. It's absolutely absurd. It's any target. What do
yeah,
you think the grade is? I have an idea.
I'm sure you do. I mean, isn't this like
I don't. I didn't
if
play
you're
when this
in
was in limited
if you're
before.
in the colors like a B plus,
Let's say this is first pack. First pack, you see this card.
you pick it.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is like this is borderline A minus.
Okay, that good.
I
Okay.
think it's
I
that
mean,
good.
it's premium removal. It's possibly a 6 health swing if you're going to face. Like it kills things in the air, it kills blocker. I mean, it's just very good. Also, because it deals 3, it makes it especially good with all the shit that's getting cloaked and everything else. Even if you're paying 4 to kill something, like who cares?
Yeah, yeah. This. Hold on. I'm actually looking something up real quick. Okay, so unmorphing or undisguising does not use the stack, which I was pretty sure it doesn't. So you can't like so that's another important thing to know about morphing or undisguising. Like if someone tries to undisguise something, you can't like in response try to kill it when it still has 2 toughness.
Yeah, you'd have to do it before they activated the ability.
Yeah, it doesn't use the stack. It's like a special ability as they call it. Like playing
Can
a land
you,
or bringing a companion in from outside the game.
right? But they could also flip it in response to you using this.
Yes, yes. Also, that they could they can respond with undisguising. You cannot respond to undisguising.
Yes.
So yeah, this is like B plus A minus. I just go into face with this is nutty, right? 6 life swing to the face for 2 mana. That's its
Yeah.
floor. It's
Yeah.
outrageous card. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I have poo pooed on this card previously, just relative to the other uncommons we just saw. Crawl Whipcracker. Black and a green for a 3/2 reach. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target token an opponent controls. Not poo pooing it here. That was only in a constructed sense. In limited, this card is great. What is there to not
Yeah.
like about a 3/2 for 2 with reach that also blows up potentially a creature or like an investigate clue, like a clue token, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this card's got like this is like a B minus C plus. I mean, a
That
3/2
good.
reach. It's at least a
I
C
was gonna.
plus. It's at least a C
Yeah.
plus.
I was gonna say C plus, but
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I
because
assume
it is
people are
cool
going
with
to
a lot
have
of
tokens
tokens.
everywhere from what we've seen. Orzhov cares about tokens. Clues are everywhere.
Are
Um,
desi are disguised creatures tokens
no,
before they're unveiled?
no,
Okay.
they're not tokens. That would be extremely good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the floor of this is a C plus, and depending on how prevalent tokens are, if there's some other wild tokens, this just gets better. But I think it's good. So many multicolored
Sidious Roots. Black and green enchantment at uncommon. Creature tokens you control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color.
tokens. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Cryptolith, right?
Yeah, Cryptolith right. With upside, whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard,
Ooh.
create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then put a 1/1 counter on each plant you control.
So what procs the second part of it the easiest?
Um. Oh. What is it called? Collect evidence.
Yes, correct. Yep. So that's
So,
that's the Zen
so
chain here.
yes, collect evidence with this is nuts because there are things that are collect evidence 8. Collect evidence whatever.
But it's
Well,
one
it
or
says
more,
one or more. Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah. So
specifically creature cards, not
instance.
all collect evidence. Just if
Yeah.
you collect evidence with a creature. I think this thing's a trap. Art's amazing.
Yeah. Art's incredible. I mean, I want it to be good though.
Yeah,
Once again, if it's a really slow format, like this could just be brutal if it has
maybe.
like synergies in these colors.
It's a 2-mana enchantment that does nothing unless you already have creature tokens by turn 2. I guess it could basically refund its mana on turn 4, like if you have 2 creature tokens and then they tap or whatever. I don't really think the second ability is proccing much. You have to have a creature that did die, and then you make 1 token. And it's not like it's 1 or more creature cards. So even if you like collected evidence of 3 creatures, you're not getting 3 of them.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is a trap. I think this is pretty unplayable.
It is unplayable.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unplayable. Like if
It is
morphed
much more
creatures
stringent.
or disguised creatures were tokens, then maybe, but they're not. I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we'd have to see a ton of free tokens energies in these
Yes.
colors.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we need to see 2/2s or 1/1s for 2 in black and green that die into
Yeah.
tokens or make tokens when they come into play. And even then, I'm trepidatious because you also need Sax energies and then exiling from your graveyard's energies to do the second part. So
So it's probably a C if you're like perfectly building around it,
yeah,
and
yes,
otherwise
yes. It's a
it's a
C
D
minus.
minus.
It's a C minus
Yeah.
if you're perfectly
Yeah.
building around it. And just
Fair.
don't put this in your deck otherwise. All right, we're back. Here we go. Granite Witness, 2 a white and a blue for an artifact creature, Gargoyle Detective. I just love Azorius. Flying Vigilance
Yep.
3/2. I'm already in. When it's turned face up, you may tap or untap target creature. Okay. And it undisguises for Azorius hybrid. So white blue or white blue. Um, so I'm in for a 3/2 flying vigilance for 4 already. Like I would say that's a C plus. Maybe just a C. That's probably a C plus. It's a detective. Again, we're seeing a detective. So we got detectives energies, artifacts energies, and this is also a good disguise. This is a cheap disguise.
Yeah. This is a very good This is maybe one of my favorite
Yeah.
disguise cards, especially in the commons and uncommons.
And it has vigilance. So this can do interesting things with its vigilance. Well, no, I get so you can like no
It's
because
more
it
with
does
attack. Like if you
yeah
flip this up before you go to the attack step so that they can block it, you just turn this up, tap one of the things down, and attack
yeah
out with this.
yeah it messes up their entire like tempo plan.
Yes.
It messes up their entire tempo plan. So uh
I think this is a B minus
a
in
B
Azorius.
minus. I don't think it's B. I think it's a C plus. I think it's a C plus. I don't think it gets up to B. Like I'm not
Okay.
really considering first picking this unless I'm heavy in Azorius. I would not
I
like
guess
to
I
first
guess
pick this.
I guess B minus area is when you're getting into first picking
Yeah,
it. So
you
yeah.
would consider first
Sure,
picking
sure,
it.
sure, 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 sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
C
it's
plus.
probably C
C
plus.
plus.
It's good though. All right. Oh, look what you get, man! You're getting all the 2 mana hotness.
Gleaming Gear Drake. Yeah,
Yeah.
blue and a red artifact creature Drake at uncommon, and it's 1/1. Also, if you have not seen the alt art for this card, is they should have made this a mythic
This is
just for
also
that alt art.
great. This art is also
This is
fantastic.
this is also very good. Yes. Flying when Gleaming Gear Drake enters the battlefield. Investigate. Flying 1/1 investigate for 2. When you
Okay.
sacrifice an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on
Mm,
Gleaming Gear Drake.
I see. I see.
Okay. Okay. So this card is good.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good.
Like this is almost guaranteed a 2/2 flyer for 2.
Yeah, basically. And again, if it's a slower format, yeah, you're like probably going to be able to casually do this on turn 2 if you're not, or on turn 3, I guess, if you don't have much pressure.
I think this card is a B minus.
Yeah.
If you are
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you are building around, like, this is a B for sure.
Yeah, it's slow. It's a double artifact too, by the way. It procs if you have artifact procs energies. It's an artifact that makes an artifact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this card's quite good. So I know we're talking about limited here, but like this is pretty funny in other formats that have treasures, because it procs
for
on every
sure.
treasure. Like,
On
sack
every
5
treasure.
treasures. I have a 6/6 flyer
Yeah.
now. You know,
If you're like doing counter stuff in these colors for some reason, like, that could also be funny because it's just like infinite tokens to move around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a floor of a B minus, and additional upside. Again, depending on how slow the format is, depending if there's something that's like a sacrifice. We saw that one guy that like basically allowed you to sacrifice clues for free, or like when it attacked, it could sacrifice an artifact to draw a card or something. So like sacking artifacts for 0 mana is obviously a premium. With
I would be
this.
shocked if there were not artifacts in this set that don't like ETB make some kind of clues or something too.
Well, yeah, making it. I'm just talking about like getting the cost, because it's like it's 2 mana is not nothing to sack these things. So like if you have something that can churn out, like if there's something that's like clues you cost, cost 1 less to sack, or
1
2
less,
to sack.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, here's a friend of it, Gadget Technician, 2 a red and a blue for a Goblin Artificer at common 3/2. When it enters the battlefield or is turned face up, you get a flying 1/1 Thopter, and it disguises for 2. This is also great. I'm in for this. I'm in for a 3/2 with a 1/1 artifact flyer stamped on it for 4.
Yeah.
Sure, C plus. The disguise
Tokens
just seems like upside. Like,
Yep.
I don't know how much I'm disguising this. I guess if I have other reasons to care about disguise, like, it's again an interesting tempo swing, right? Because they're like, even late in the game, you might want to disguise this because they're like, oh, he has no flying blockers, so I can like try to swing for the win here, and you're like, undisguised, make the blocker, win the game next turn because your math's bad now. So yeah. I like C plus. I'm just in for it. C to C plus.
Fairy Snoop, 1 blue and a black creature fairy detective. It's a 1/4 at common. Flying, disguise, 1 and hybrid blue black, 2 blue black. When Fairy Snoop is turned face up, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard.
Graveyard, not library.
Yeah. So blue black is probably going to be the colors that really want to be collecting evidence. So this is really good for that.
Also detective.
Also a detective. It's got a big butt on it. Like, I don't like paying 6 for a 1/4 flyer. Doesn't feel great, but it is drawing you a card.
Yeah, with some card selection and
card selection
and powering evidence.
So like, maybe it's worth it. Once again, I think it's dependent on the set. Like, it being just a big butt might be good enough.
I wish this was a 2/4 for 4 that's still undisguised for the same amount.
How brutal would this card be if you cloaked it in?
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, if you cloak this thing for free. Yeah, so we need to keep a lookout on. We need to keep a lookout of evaluating things that get to cloak stuff and like basically cheating 3 mana sometimes. We also need to point out something else which we haven't yet. These disguise hybrids, which we've now seen quite a few times, right? It completely changes the texture of this card from multicolored to single colored.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, this can be played in red-blue, but you can never cast its front side, right? Only disguising it. But that is still additional flexibility. Maybe not quite as good on a card like this, but like what we just saw, like the cheap, ones, like this is very much playable in any blue deck or any red deck. This a little less so because it is pretty expensive. I mean, it's not that bad. Again,
not that bad.
Everything we're seeing is showing that this is a pretty slow set, and if this is a pretty slow set, I think this gets there. But I'm still not terribly excited about it. I mean, this is by nature slow, right? Because it slows down even aggressive flying decks, because it is a one. Like, you feel pretty good about your 1/4 flyer if you got flyers coming at you.
Oh, for sure. And they
Yeah.
are very upset to see a 1/4 flyer
Yeah. Yeah,
because
so
it's just eating their 1/1s for free.
let's say a C with outs to a C plus if you can cheat on disguise and stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, Evidence Examiner. Green and a blue for a 2/2 uncommon. Muirfolk Detective. Detectives everywhere. Probably specifically in multicolored, why we're seeing so many of them. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may collect 4 evidence. That's our first collect evidence. So exile cards with total mana value, not power. For any idiot that might think that it's power of creatures, it is CMC. Whenever you collect evidence, investigate. Okay. So there's no upside to you collecting the evidence. It's just shitting it into exile just to trigger its second ability. Because normally you're collecting evidence to do something, right?
Yeah.
This is not. It's just collecting evidence for no purpose except to trigger its second ability, which also triggers whenever anything else collects evidence. This is very much a build around. I mean, it does kind of power itself, or I guess like occasionally this will build like draw a card kind of slowly.
I mean, this is it in a very slow set. This is a guaranteed card draw engine.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
very slow, but I mean,
I still am not super high on this. Yeah, because like you said,
no,
it's very slow. I have maybe a C plus
extremely slow.
because it's just a bear for a while, and like
I mean,
it's
the only upside is that in late game, if you pull this, you can do this immediately.
that's
You can
true.
play
Yeah,
it before your combat, immediately
right.
investigate, draw, all of that. So like,
Yeah.
that's potentially okay.
So here's kind of the awkward thing, right? This is kind of a build around in the sense that since its second triggered ability is like the static effect, other
Yeah.
collect evidence things are like really good with it, right? Because then you
Oh,
are
good.
getting
Yeah.
upside for collecting. However, if you do have other collect evidence stuff, then he's not probably going to have the evidence to collect to power his own thing. You know, like even if
Yeah,
you
but if
are
you
in
have,
late game.
if there's a lot of passive evidence collecting, then possibly it wouldn't you would never have to use this.
Well, I guess my point was like you said in the late game, you draw this and do it immediately. I was like,
Hmm.
generally yes, but if you have a collect evidence themed deck, you might not have any evidence to collect even in the late game because you've been collecting evidence. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a C plus, maybe C to C plus,
Yeah. We'll see.
and I might be very wrong. All right, time for you to get
Uh,
dog walked.
yeah. Dog Walker, red and a white. Oh, how many people would be raging in chat or in person if someone just slams this and says dog walked?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Boros 3/1 vigilance disguise for 2. When dog walker is turned face up, create 2 tapped 1/1 white dog creature tokens. They do come in tapped, but this is, I mean, for 5, it's a 3/1 that makes 2 1/1s. I mean, yes, they come in tapped, so you can't do like this would be out of control if they came in untapped, right? Like,
It would be better. It'd be better. It's intentionally keeping it very aggressive by doing that, right? Because it'd be very strong
right.
defensively if they also
Yeah.
came into play untapped. But it's really focusing. See, the dogs are dog walking this fine person in the art. Uh, so I mean, a 3/1 vigilance for 2. Like I'm fairly down for that. That's like C minus probably.
If you can
Um,
suspect this is brutal.
yeah, suspecting it's pretty cool too. That's true. Yeah,
I like it, and if you can build an aggressive deck, and Boros is obviously the colors to do it in this set. I mean, this is a card you'd probably want.
yeah.
I don't think it's great otherwise.
I think undisguising it is really good. It's just hard to be like, yeah, I'm playing a 2/2 for 3 in an aggressive deck, and then I'm undisguising it in an aggressive deck. And yes, that makes a lot of material. You know, maybe this is actually like a hidden Orzhov card. Now that I think about it, this might be a double
Mm.
white hidden Orzhov card because it creates 3
Oh, just because of
things.
tokens. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you undisguise it to trade this off, just like intentional trade off with like a 3/3 or something, right? Trade up with it and get 2 fodder pieces in Orzhov.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So maybe an
I
Orzhov
mean,
gets up to like a C plus, or maybe just even a C.
I think it's a C minus normally, and a
Yeah,
C in a good situation for it.
agree. Detective Satchel. Ooh, nifty. A 4 mana just artifact. All right, 2 a red and a blue for an artifact at uncommon. When it enters the battlefield, investigate twice. So now we're up to 3 artifacts for 4. All right. Tap to create a colorless Thopter artifact creature dragon with flying. Activate only if you sacrifice an artifact this turn. Okay, so you want your Gear Hulk Drake or whatever to be flying around with this satchel on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely, Jesus.
Yeah, so
I
this
mean,
is
it's
so
funny.
slow. This is so slow.
It's hilarious. But if you're in a position to drop this on the board,
It's so
you're not running out
slow.
of gas.
It's so slow. This is the slowest divination that's ever been divinated.
It comes in, it immediately makes a blocker.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't
It
because you have to
doesn't.
activate the sacrificing
I
stuff.
tell you what, I'll be happy if this is playable, but I'm borderline just calling that this is completely unplayable. This is
I really want it to be playable.
absurdly slow.
Yeah. It's very slow.
You
We'll see.
have
I'm expecting more artifact synergies.
you have to be able to sacrifice an artifact for 0 mana. If you have ways to sacrifice
Yeah.
booze for free or general artifact sacrifice outlets, then I can kind of get behind it. But even then, it's still 4.
Yeah.
So you don't even feel like you're really doing it, right? Like let's say you have something that can like sack an artifact to give something +1/+1. Then you've paid for, only really made 1 clue and made like a +1/+1 counter and a 1/1.
Eh.
Like, am
Yeah.
I? Yeah, I think this is a D, but I hope to be wrong. I hope this is somehow like a build
I hope
around
you're
C
wrong.
plus
I
or
love
something.
these cards. I love this card. I will say, like, I feel like I know we're not doing this in general for most cards, but this is one of those cards that just makes me want to play it in Commander.
Yeah,
Because I'm
it's
like, I'm getting 3 artifacts probably immediately.
yeah.
No, four probably immediately.
Yeah. Whenever you sacrifice a treasure, you're making another 1/1 guaranteed, right?
Yeah,
Once a turn, because it does have to
yeah.
tap to do it.
And I'm definitely playing Intruder Alarm in whatever deck this is. Just
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Intruder. Well, intruder alarm only untaps creatures, not all permanents, so it won't.
is it?
I'm pretty sure it's just creatures, yeah. So it won't untap this, but your heart's in the right place.
Oh, Cloudstone Curio.
Oh, this is probably a good card. It's on you. The art is again
Yeah.
fantastic.
Deadly Complication. 1 black and a red. Sorcery uncommon. Choose one or both. Destroy target creature. Okay. Put a 1/1 counter on target suspect creature you control. You may have it become no longer suspected. Okay. Weird.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best removal in the set. Unconditional destroy a creature
Yeah.
for 3 mana. It's not an instant, but
Yeah, it's not an instant. But I mean, it's a destroy creature card. It's really good then.
it's B,
That's my
right?
opinion.
I think it's just a
Yeah,
B. It's just a
it's
B.
just a B.
It's destroy target creature for 3 mana sorcery speed with upside. They like got rid of the instant upside and replaced it with like some other suspect 1/1 counter upside. I mean, I think this card is great. This is like B, maybe even B plus. Like that 1/1 counter could be real. You have to have something suspected, but you don't even have to make it become unsuspected. Like imagine the blow. Remember the other Rectus uncommon that we saw, like the 2/2 menace, because you can suspect it. So like you play that on 2, then on 3 you blow up whatever they played. Then now you have a 3/3 menace, and you keep it suspected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's bad news
Yeah.
for your opponents.
Yeah. It's a May, so yeah. Who cares? Just leave your menace on the board, smashing their face.
Like this set is giving me art notes from like the last 2 years, right? Like I feel like some of the artifact things almost feel like Kamigawa-y in some things.
Yeah.
This feels like Crimson Valley.
Yeah.
We've seen, you know, the whole underlying theme of the set with detectives feels a little Streets of
The alt
New
art
Capenna.
Gear Drake has like the anime art style.
Yeah, yeah, it's all over the place. There's like future Marvel sort of art styles. Anyway,
Yeah.
that card was good. Let's see if I can also have a good card. Curious Cadaver, Cavadier,
Cadaver.
Cadaver. Thank you.
Cadaver.
Curious Cadaver. I'm good at English. Two, a blue and a black for a 3/1 flying zombie detective at uncommon. This is a ridiculous card in flavor for
This is a
sure.
ridiculous
It's
card.
a flying zombie detective who's curious. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, return it from your graveyard to your hand. Ooh. Ooh. So a recurring 3/1 flyer for 4. That's pretty good in a
Yep.
slow set.
Yep.
When I said I could learn a lot from a corpse, I have to admit I wasn't expecting it to lecture me on forensic procedure. That's nerdy, but pretty funny. Um, we haven't seen anyone, you know, 1/1 flyers for cheap yet. You know,
Well, the Gear Drake.
yeah, I don't consider that a 1/1. You're happy
Yeah,
if that trades off with this.
yeah,
Um,
yes, for sure.
I think this is fine. I'm not like over them because again, it's very slow. So I give this like a C plus probably.
I
I
think
can
this
see
is a
it
C
being
plus.
I can see it being very annoying, but I'm not like over the moon about it.
I think it's a C plus, but could be higher
I'll tell you what,
in like a reasonable world.
I'm getting higher on that damn private eye because I keep seeing good like private eye is just making me more interested in like slamming all
Yeah,
of these, right? So I
yes,
think
every detective.
yeah, private eye is probably like a
This
B
one is
plus
not
now.
flippable though, so you can't like cheat colors with it.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Crowd Control Warden, 3 green and a white. Creature Centaur Soldier, and it's a 4/4. As Crowd Control Warden enters the battlefield or is turned face up, put X/1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of other creatures you control. Okay. Um,
That's big.
that's big. It's really big. I mean, this is, I mean, what? Potentially like a 9/9/9 10/10
It's
pretty
other creatures
easily.
it's other creatures you control. So let's just be more practical and said say you go 2/3/4. It's a 7/7 for 5. If you go 2/3/4, right?
Or
2/3/4/5 7/7 for 5.
yeah. That makes more sense. I mean, it doesn't have any. It doesn't have trample. It doesn't have
Yeah,
anything exciting. I mean,
it
I think
it,
this card
it
is
isn't
not
big
that
on this
good.
guy. I think it's a C. Yeah, I'm not like over the moon about it. But like
Yeah,
a 7/7 for 5 in limited has to be pretty good. It's a seven
yeah.
seven. It could
It's a
even be
seven.
bigger.
It's a 7/7. It's a 7/7.
I tell you what,
Sure.
this is the thing that they are regretting not blocking when you undisguise it for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because remember that like undisguised is a combat trick. Like this is just a 2/2, and they might elect to not block. So that's the interesting thing about this, right? If they block this, it's for sure killing whatever it blocked, basically for free.
Mhm.
If they don't block this, you might just win the game.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I still
You're
think
right.
it's a C, but
I think it's a C though. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, the art.
Coerce to kill. This is some art. My god. Coerce to kill. 3 and Demir. 5 mana. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. Whoa! I want to stop reading. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 1/1, has death touch, and is an assassin. Oh, so it's not quite as good as control magic because it does dick up the creature a little bit. I mean, this still is a what's known as the -1 for 1, as in I use a card, but I take a card from you, and now that's my card. So I use a card to make a card and take your card, but it makes it a 1/1 death touch. I mean, I still think this is a B. B
I think it's a B minus.
minus. B minus just because it's 5.
Yeah, it costs
It
5,
might
but
be
I
a
mean,
B.
it's
This
it's
this
really
is
good.
this is a terrible this kills. This basically says 5 mana, kill their 2 biggest things. Right.
Right, yeah.
That's basically its text. It's it can also you can also use the abilities of the creature, right? It doesn't
Yes.
wipe its
It does
abilities.
not wipe the abilities.
So if it has like a strong static ability or something, you get that. Yeah, I think this is a B minus and maybe a B. Also better when in slower formats, right? Its biggest downside is that it costs
For
5.
sure.
So
For sure.
maybe it's actually a B.
Maybe it is a B. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. All right.
Buried in the Garden. 2 green and a white. Enchant Aura, also uncommon. Enchant Land. When Buried in the Garden enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent you don't control until Buried in the Garden leaves the battlefield. Whenever enchanted land is tapped, or mana is its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color.
What? This is a
This card
land.
is bizarre.
This is a land enchanting Oblivion Stone that mana ramps you.
Yes.
That seems good.
Yeah, I think this is good. Especially once again, slow format. This
Yeah.
is huge. You're swinging your mana, you're taking something off the board, like
Really cool flavor too.
yeah, really cool flavor.
Yeah, I think this is a B. I mean,
Uh, uh,
Oblivion Stone is typically 3, but like this mana ramps you some kind of. I think this is like a B.
yeah.
B minus maybe, but B. It's any permanent as well, any non-land permanent. All right, breakout, red green sorcery, bunch of text, uncommon. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them. If the creature value has mana value 2 or less, you may put it into the battlefield and it gains haste until end of turn. You didn't put the reveal card into the battlefield this way. You may put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay. So out of the top 6, I need to grab a creature. If it's a cheap creature, it immediately comes into play and gains haste. If it's not a cheap creature, it comes in my hand. This is interesting. So this is a new approach at trying to make these things playable. Because the downside of this is again that it's slow, right? You're paying 2 mana and all you're doing is getting some card selection, and it can theoretically whiff as well, which would be an actual disaster.
Yeah.
But you could view this the way that they printed it, going 6 deep. You could view this as a 2-drop, as a good 2-drop, whatever your 2-drop is plus haste.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this might be a C plus, which is very rare for this sort of card. That's like the bullish take. That's the bullish take on this. Is a C plus. You have to have a really high creature count because whiffing this is a.
But you're in Gruul. You're gonna have a high creature count.
Yeah, I would think so. Like, you just
Uh,
can't play a lot of fight effects though. Like
that's
if,
true.
if or like a lot of like if you have a splash, that splash shouldn't be like Oblivion Stone, you know, or like what we just saw.
Right.
It needs to be more creatures. So yeah, because remember, lands are going to count. Like the disaster of this is like you do this and you hit like 4 lands,
Or lands.
an enchantment, and like another sorcery or something, right? And you're just
yeah,
like,
that'd be
well,
brutal.
I lose, I guess.
I mean, it does get them off the top.
Yeah, very, very high creature count. I say this is probably a C plus, and that's the only time you should play it.
Right. Case of the Shattered Pact. 2 colorless. It's our first case of the new enchantments. When this case enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Already, great mana filtering for this set. To solve, there are 5 colors among permanents you control. Okay. When you solve it, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains flying, double strike, and vigilance until end of turn.
So it's the 5-color dream, right?
It's the 5-color dream. There's also that new ley line that makes all of your things all colors.
If you're playing that in limited, you have some sort of strategy. or just balls. Um, so interesting thing here that we need to point out, as we have before, these hybrid mana disguises can cheat you here, right? You can get you can get 4 of the 5 colors by only playing 2 colors because of the hybrid disguises, right?
Yes.
Like imagine you're playing black white and you have a blue white hybrid disguise and like a red black hybrid disguise.
Yeah.
That's 4 colors. Well, you're only playing 2 colors, so then you could. Yeah, it's still not going to be easy to get 5, but it might be easier than it might appear. And this is kind of playable just on the surface, right? Like 2 mana land
Yeah,
catch.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know how much like
Not really.
sacrificing permanents are here, but like even just getting if you specifically need color fixing, maybe if you're in 3 colors, and very realistically you can get to that 5 with what Thomas was talking about. I think this is certainly playable. I don't think it's good, like great. I mean, I think this is a C minus.
It's funny. It's very much
It's
a
funny.
case to hunt down. This is part of living the dream. Dream out of 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe it's a D plus, like
Well, no,
with
I think this is pure. You only play this if you're going for it. Like
okay, yeah,
this doesn't go in anything other than what is specifically trying to do, like 4 color to 5 color nonsense. And at that point, it's really good. It helps you do what you're
yeah,
trying to do, and the payoff is massive. For 2 mana, that's a
massive.
ridiculous effect, So
Yes,
it's
yeah.
like a B if you can consistently do the thing. All right, absolving Lamasu. Sure. 4 and a white for an uncommon 4/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, all suspected creatures are no longer suspected. When it dies, you gain 3 life and suspect up to 1 target creature, specifically in opponent controls. Once again, that's just so much like text. I just don't feel like it really needs it. This is just okay, I think. It like does suspect manipulation, but like I'm not sure how much I care about that. It dies and gains me 3 life, and then I can suspect something of theirs. I mean,
This dies to Lightning Helix.
yeah, that's a lot of cards tied to Lightning Helix. Yeah, I'm
I mean,
just
for 5,
this is like a
like
C. I mean, a 4/3 flyer is a
it's a
threat.
lot. It's a threat for
It is a
sure.
threat, and it unsuspects stuff. So like, it even helps you race because they don't have menace now, or all your creatures can block. I mean, it isn't uncommon. This is like a C plus, and I'm moving on.
I think it's a C. Auspicious
I mean,
Arrival.
one more thing. If you're specifically in a flyer deck, you're pretty interested in this because a 4/3 flyer is
Sure.
really going to bring it home at the top end. You're
Yeah,
interested
for
in one of
sure.
them. Yeah,
Auspicious Arrival. 1 and a white. Instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Investigate.
that's interesting.
I mean, I think it's a good trick, and it replaces itself. It's
Kind of.
kind of. But I mean, once again, with this probably being a slow set, like that's probably a good trade to have. Also, this is a nice way to get around people attacking with the 2/2s all the time to try to like have a trick by
Yeah,
flipping them. Like
that's
this is
true.
a good way to be like, here's a counter to this, basically, without having to pay the ward or anything else.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gone through black. We don't know how much instant removal there is, but this is still a
Yeah,
blowout fizzle. Like, how good is a
yeah,
card that just is 2 mana, target creature gains +2/+2, draw a card? Like, that's probably pretty good. This
it's
is
probably pretty good.
obviously worse than that. We also haven't seen like a ton of artifact specific Zenergies. Like, there's been
No,
some.
surprisingly.
Yeah, again, we've kind of just started in the colors here, but um, I still think this is like a C minus D plus. I'm not
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say a C
combat
minus,
tricks. Yeah,
but
it could be better. I mean it's fairly efficient. We'll just have to see how it plays. Those are generally
yeah.
that's just kind of where you assume combat tricks are until proven otherwise.
Oh, this is the woman who died earlier.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Rakdos
Yeah,
woman.
in the Rakdos card. Good callback. Call a surprise witness. 1 and a white for a sorcery at uncommon. I'm getting all the uncommons. Return target creature with creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a flying counter on it, and it's a spirit. So I think these have actually been performing pretty okay recently because you're cheating on
Interesting.
cost, and this makes it flying. Um, like it is conditional. You need to be aggressive to use this.
Yeah.
You need to be aggressive. You need to have aggressive. I mean, flyers would be good, but once again, coming back to them, the private eye. This with
Yep.
private eye slaps ass all over the place, right? Like that's the sort
Yep.
of thing you're looking to bring back for 2.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think you're playing flyers. You're playing aggressive creatures. You're probably in like Azorius flyers, or you're like in Boros or something. And at that point,
Or
this card's
Orzhov.
yeah, maybe like Orzhov does a lot of counter stuff too. Yeah, so I mean, I think this card's pretty good. I think it's probably like a C to C plus. I think you're probably
Yeah,
playing this
I agree
card one of this
completely.
card, and you might be a little
Yeah,
heavier
for sure. One of.
on 3 drops.
Case file auditor, 2 and a white, creature human detective, 1/4. When case file auditor enters the battlefield, and whenever you solve a case, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast case spells. I
They
mean,
just want to throw text on these cards.
yeah. So I mean, this card is a detective's dream, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. How high can your case density get at common and uncommon is the question.
Like, I'm sure there's a world where you can put together a limited deck that this is really, really good in, but you would have it's a dream.
Yeah, we have to see more cases. We have to if there's a
Yeah,
bunch
I
of
don't feel like we've
cheap.
seen a ton of
Yeah,
uncommon common cases, honestly, or
we
really
haven't
even
yet.
legendary and mythics. Like, there's not really that many cases.
Yeah,
Um,
we can search for how many there are. So that would be useful to know. I should probably just pull up Scryfall on my phone and do that. Keep talking about this one briefly.
Uh, yeah, I mean, also, like, the effect is very good for this. I mean, if you're in white, you're most likely going to have some other enchantments. Maybe you're in 3 colors here, and you can, like, play that other card as well as, like, kind of a finisher and a way to mana fix, the case that allows you to fetch up a basic land. Um, so, like I said, I think this card has probably a pretty strong ceiling, but like it's so narrow and you have to be so I think you're very unlikely to hit that. So I
So
think on average, maybe this card is like a C minus D plus
there's 12 cases, and one,
a
two,
lot.
3, 4, 5, 6 of them are uncommon and 6 of them are rare. So there's no common cases. So this card is not it.
Yeah, so this card is a D minus.
I mean, searching 6
Unless
of them.
unless you are very lucky. Very lucky.
Let's
It
see
does
if
hit enchantments.
there's one in every color. So like, I mean, yeah, it does hit any enchantment, right? Not specifically cases, but it's the cases that feed into other cases, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you have 2 or 3 cases, which is not going to be the easiest thing to do,
Yeah.
because there's only one in every color at uncommon, but like you could grab a rare case potentially.
Yeah.
Um, I guess this is the joke, right? You can put any cases in your. So this might be actually good in like the 5 color deck, right? Or the
Yeah,
one that's
yeah,
flirting
yeah.
with it. The one
This,
that's flirting
yeah.
with it.
Oh, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I think in that deck, this could be really good, like as high as like a C plus, but like you have to be so lucky to
Yeah,
even
yeah.
get there.
It'd be. I mean, we've seen
It's
so
a
like
dream. It's a dream.
The
I'll tell
Oblivion
you,
Stone's really
I'll
good with
try to do
this.
this. I'll
Yeah.
try to draft this.
The Oblivion Stone's really good with this, right? Because this fetches Oblivion
Yes.
Stone, and the
Oh,
Oblivion Stone
yeah.
already mana fixes as well. So it looks like 5 colors, probably base green white, which is typical. Probably
Yep.
base green white red. So yeah, I agree. It's like a
Green, white,
D.
black.
It's like a D if you're not doing a thing. Build around level 1 of a C. Build around level 2 5-color god level B minus. All right.
Yeah. God.
All right. Case of the Gateway Express. 1 and a white. Here's the case.
Yep.
Great set numbering, Wizards. When this case enters the battlefield, choose target creature you don't control. Each creature you control deals 1 damage to that creature. That's an interesting way to word that.
Weird.
To solve, 3 or more creatures attack this turn, and then solved creatures you control get +1/+0. So, mediocre Anthem. But this only costs 2 and is kind of removal.
Yeah.
So you want this
Also,
at a
this gets
minimum to
around
deal
the
2.
ward. This gets around the ward part of all of these disguised or cloaked creatures.
It unfortunately does not.
Oh,
It does
because you have to
not.
choose that. You have to
You're
choose the
still
target.
targeting it. Yeah,
You're still targeting it.
targeting
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So at
Fair.
a minimum, you want this to deal 2 damage. So
Yeah,
you need to have
yeah.
2 creatures, but you're probably going to have 2 creatures.
You're probably gonna have 2 creatures. Also, this is in white, so like
This is
it's got the most token synergy.
this is a C minus. That's what I think.
Yeah.
This is a C minus, and if you're really doing the thing, I think it's still just a C to C plus.
I think it could be a C plus. I think it's probably a C minus, but it could be a C plus.
So the interesting wording here is that the creatures themselves do the damage, because like normally, so we've seen like the MDFC that does this for like 3 mana. That was good in limited because it could be a land, or if you had a bunch of creatures, then it can deal X damage, where X is the number of creatures you control. The fact that the creatures themselves do damage might have some interesting ramification with another card. Like it triggers lifelink, it triggers death touch.
Right.
So maybe in Orzhov, you're like pretty interested in this. Yeah, the death touch triggering is actually nice. Yeah, maybe I'm being a little harsh on it. Maybe it's a little better. It just feels. Again, it's cool because this set looks like it has a lot of sort of build aroundy sort of things. You just need to be doing the thing to really even consider this, and that thing is
utilize
having
it.
Creatures, cheap creatures with death touch. That's neat.
Case of the Pilfered Proof.
Wait, did I just lie? That's 2 uncommon cases in white?
Yeah.
What? Is this? Oh. Oh, yeah. Wait. Just go ahead and read it. I'm gonna see why I'm lying.
Case of the Pilfered Proof. 1 and a white. Whenever a detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, put a 1/1 counter on it. That's good. For 2 already. To solve, you control 3 or more detectives. Solved. If 1 or more tokens if one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a clue token are created instead.
So it's a clue doubler.
It's a clue doubler.
Or just gives you clues for any other tokens. Yeah, so actually there's 12 total cases, like I said, which is obviously more than 1 in each color. So white has 2 uncommons. And then there's the colorless. So white's the only color with 2 uncommon cases, because there's the colorless one we already saw, and then there's 1 of every color at rare, and then 1 of every.
I mean, that makes sense.
At uncommon, okay. So yeah, this is obviously the detectives build around. Like it literally does nothing. It does actually nothing if you don't have detectives.
Right.
Yeah, how high can the detective density go? I guess we haven't really been marking.
There's been a ton of detectives, and it's in white, and
but
all the detectives for the most part have been white, and not all
uncommons there, right? Well, I just have Scryfall up here, so let's see. We have detect. No, it's line type. So this is. So what do you think this is if you're doing the detective? Assuming you have detectives on lock, what do you think this is?
If you have detectives, like if you have the private eye deck, like the Dream private eye deck, like this is a B minus, but that's like at the high. Yeah, but like I mean, I think in general this is probably a C minus.
47 detectives.
That's a lot of detectives.
That's more than I was expecting. So let's see at common. How many detectives at common? 17 common detectives.
It's a lot. It's a lot of detectives.
And they look to be a majority in Esper. There's some
White,
green as well, but
white,
mostly blue.
white, blue, and black.
Yeah, white has a 1-drop and a 2-drop. Two 2-drops. Blue has a 3-drop, 4-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. Green has a 1-drop and a 2-drop. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
hey
I mean
man,
maybe
if
this
you're in detectives,
is more like a C, C plus.
in specifically in detectives, you have to have a
In
lot. This does actually nothing without detectives. Like you have to have a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
detectives.
yes, yes. You lit it right. It is a complete waste if you do not have detectives.
I mean, this is something I'd be tempted. So if detectives are not just obviously the best deck, which I'm kind of nervous that it might be, I'd be tempted to even take this early first pack and just be like, I'm forcing it. you know, I'm
Yeah,
guaranteed taking every detective.
if
I'll be
there's
in
nothing
Bant
exciting
detectives.
in it otherwise, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. But yeah, I still think it's just a build around. I don't think this is the sort of thing that's strong enough to do what I just said, really, because even
No, no.
with build around, you're at like a B minus, C
It's not going to
plus.
stop me from trying.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably not even a B minus. It's probably a C plus, even if you're really doing it. All right, Defenestrated Phantom. 6 mana, 4 and 2 white for a creature 4/3 flyer. Disguise 5. No, thank you. I don't think.
Although it does say never parlay near a high window. I love
yeah,
a cheeky ghost.
yeah. They love the word defenestrate, which means specifically to be thrown through a window is to be defenestrated. Um, which they try to get that one in there. I mean, no, this
Yeah,
is just a no, right? I mean,
yeah,
you were poo pooing the 4/3 flyer for 5, and now we're
for
increasing the
five.
cost
Yeah,
here.
yep.
Again,
It
it's the
it
disguise aspect of like, surprise, I win. You know,
yeah.
it wasn't a 2/2 after all. It was a man flying through a window who was already dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I've killed him already. Yeah, I mean it's just whatever.
yeah, not interested.
Not
C minus,
interested.
D plus. Maybe if you're in the
If you
that
really
might be the
care
one
about the
of high
flyers and
flying.
like yeah, yeah,
Right.
random high end card. All right. Due
Yeah.
diligence, 2 and a white, enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When due diligence enters the battlefield, target creature you control other than enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance until the end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. Okay. So, I mean, this would be insane if it had flash. I mean, it's a big it's a it's a big combat swing. Like if you're in an aggressive deck, this could be good. But I think it's like
Yeah.
a D plus.
D. I think it's a D. This is yet another attempt to make enchantment auras good, but 3 mana
Hmm.
is kind of the break from where I'm stopping caring, and this is a turbo blowout when your creature gets blown up underneath
There were
it,
some
which is
other like
unfortunate.
enchantment matters things, but like I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. No, no, I'm
Yeah,
off it.
probably not.
All right, Essence of Antiquity. 3 in white white for an artifact creature golem at uncommon for a 1/10 that disguises for 2 and a white. When it's turn face up, creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Untap them. Word?
uh,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Sure. This is
yeah.
gonna be unfun for your opponent in several aspects.
I think in a slow format, this is hard to deal with.
This makes a slow format.
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
this is the slow format.
right.
I mean, you're almost exclusively disguising this, right? Because this is a counter
For
spell
sure.
for this is counter target creature removal.
We haven't seen a board wipe. Yes, we have.
It does.
Oh, have we?
We've seen a couple board wipes at rare. There was the black one that was like 5 mana that does it. That like also like searches your opponent's deck for stuff and exiles them. And there was
Oh,
a
I
white
do.
one. Maybe there was even three. There was 2 or 3 at rare
Yeah.
and mythic. There's a few.
Regardless, any removal that this prevents is very good.
It's not going to prevent a board wipe, obviously.
Or even, I mean, there's also been like any fight, anything like that. That
Yeah,
other
yeah.
enchantment that says
I
one
think this is
damage.
a B,
Yeah, I agree.
which is maybe too high. A 110 is. I'm really interested to see what LSV and Marshall say about this.
Yes, same.
This will be
Because
very interesting.
this is a very unique card I've not seen certainly. So like, yeah, I have no clue how it
It
will
does
perform,
so
but
many
it
things.
seems brutal. Yeah.
It counters creature removal, bricks the board for your opponent, and like untaps all your creatures for maybe even like combat blowout. It does a lot. I think
This
it's
is one of the
maybe.
only cards I've ever been like, this would be cool if it had reach.
This also is fun with like butts matter decks, right? Like this is maybe
Yeah, for
one of the
sure.
most extreme butts matter stats line ever printed. I wonder if this is part of the bingo stats that they've never printed before. Like they track somewhere like every stat combinations. I wonder if 110 is new. Look at this.
Forum
Look at this
familiar.
sweetness just digging
Yeah,
into raw meat.
it's cooked on the outside. I don't. Whoever cooked this chicken needs to. Maybe it's not chicken. Something's off about this because that
Yeah.
is a cooked leg with a raw interior.
Yeah.
Anyway, foreign familiar, one white, creature cat. We love it. It's a 1/1. Disguise, one and a white. When foreign familiar is turned face up, return another target permanent you control to its owner's hand and put a 1/1 counter on foreign familiar. I mean, it's cool with like. I mean, it's a way to get around removal, and it's a it's a 2/2.
Is this good?
Is this good? Yeah, is a great question.
And it's a must. It's not a may, which is an interesting choice. So it's not strictly upside, right? If it was a may return another target, then it's upside. But it's a must, so it's not necessarily upside.
Yeah, but it's a 2/2 no matter what.
It's not a 2-2. I mean, it's just a 1-1 for one face up, which is not good.
Well, like how you want to play this. Like
Yeah,
it's gonna be a two. It's gonna be a 2/2 for 3, which isn't great, but like also I think in once again we've harped on it enough, but slow format I feel like this is just good to have as
well, let's just say
bucket
the first thing that
removal.
you said there. This is just straight up not the face up card. Like, this is not a 1-1 for one. You
This is
cannot
yeah,
play
this
this
is
as a 1-1 for one.
yes.
So it is a generic ward creature that can like dodge removal and maybe like slowly get you some additional advantage from like getting ETBs twice or something. I'm kind of off this. I think this is like the inverse trap of the 1-1 for one not being good. Um, it's like it's just a 2-2 disguising for two. Like I'm not sure why I'm doing it. I have to have either some insane disguise energies, some insane ETBs, or be really afraid
Yeah.
of creature removal to care about this at all. I think this is a D. At
Okay.
uncommon, maybe I'm missing something. I don't. If it was May, I'd be much higher on it. But the
Yeah.
must aspect of it, and like you have to play this as a 2-2 for three. You can't do anything else. Yeah, I don't.
It says any permanent
It's any permanence. You can like eat a clue token to do it, but
or
you're
bounce a
not like,
land.
oh, okay, good catch actually. That's pretty good.
Makes make yeah, makes it much better.
That does make it much better. That can mana fix you, especially when we've seen like the harder hybrid costs.
Yeah.
Can ramp you from 5 to 6 once you like run out of lands to play, right? Because you tap it, bounce it. Well, you have to spend 2 mana to undisguise it. Okay. maybe D plus, maybe C minus in some interesting cases, but I'm still
Yeah.
not thrilled. All right,
Okay.
Griff Knot Tracker, 3 and a white for a 3/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. 3/2 flyer for 4. I mean, exiling cards could be good from preventing your
Yeah,
opponents from collecting
could be good.
tokens.
Mm.
I think this is fine. This is a C to C plus. We'll see how good flying and being fast is. So these sort of cards actually might have a premium because we keep saying how slow this is or how slow this has to be. Well,
Right.
flyers are the opposite
Not
of
slow.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So could trend towards a C plus.
Hazda Vigilante, 4 and a white creature, giant soldier, 4/4. When Hazda Vigilante enters the battlefield or attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control with power 2 or less. I mean, it's a D minus for me.
D minus.
D.
It's
It's a
a
D.
it's a 5/5 for 5 with extra upside from that, right? I think this is okay. I'm not saying it's great. It's yeah,
It's
like a
probably a
D.
5/5. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would put a D plus on it, but yeah, well,
Okay.
you
Sure, D
you,
plus.
you, you
D plus.
probably play one of
You're gonna have
these.
a lot of two. So, question. I guess when you're flipping a card over, if it's got a 1/1 counter, does it remain on it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so that makes this better.
Yeah, that does make this better. I mean, I think you're probably not happy to see this if your opponent is like on Boros or anything that's like kind of fast, or maybe even Orzhov is
Yeah,
like suspecting its own shit, right? And
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
like, now I have a three
Rakdos
three
for sure
menace, and
is.
also this is a 4/4. You know,
Mhm.
that's well, you're not playing it in Rakdos. I guess you're splashing it. Um,
No, but
good.
I'm just saying.
All right, inside source. 2 and a white for a 1/1 sneeze. Oh, I ate it. Um, it's a 1/1 for 3 inside source human citizen. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2. Here we're talking about printing tokens, as we
Yep,
mentioned
and
for
it's a
some
white
previous stuff.
blue detective.
Yeah, and it's a white
Remember,
blue
there was another
detective.
card that made white blue detectives.
Here's another way to live the dream on the colorless case. So that's
Oh
right.
yeah,
There are monocolored cards, a few monocolored cards that create multicolored tokens. So that's another
yes,
way to get there. Okay, that's interesting. So this is a 1/1 that makes a 2/2. So we're 3/3 stats for 3, already a C. Target detective you assuming there's some upside. Target detective you control. Oh, and it makes a detective, by the way. And it
yes, it
gives
makes the detective.
detectives +2/+0 in vigilance as a sorcery for 3. That feels very Mercadian Masks Rebel sort of ability there. This whole thing is giving Mercadian Masks Rebels vibes. I almost wonder if it's a callback to that. Um,
I like it
yeah, I think this is a C to C plus. Like maybe if you're doing the
for all the
thing
other
with
detective shit.
detectives and tokens
Yeah,
and going wide and Boros, this thing's doing a lot of things. It's like C to
yeah,
C plus. Yeah,
yeah.
it's fine.
Karlov Watchdog, 3 and a white
Whoa.
creature dog, uncommon 3/2, has vigilance. Permanents you control can't be turned face up during your turn.
Your opponent's
Whenever you
control.
your opponent's control. Much better than what I just said.
Yeah.
Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, creatures that you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, well, speaking of not being slow, this is a great card for going at them.
Yeah, you
Like,
better.
I think this card is good just because I'm sure if you can make a fast deck, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think you have to be really aggressive to use this. You have to
Yes,
be
yeah, you
really
have to be
aggressive.
very aggressive.
This is not a watchdog. This is an attack dog.
Yeah,
For sure. Because
yeah,
like if you're not getting that attack clause, I don't think this is. You're not excited about a 3/2 vigilance for 4. That trades terribly. But it's clearly
no.
targeted at punishing disguise, and then it buffs itself out of trading with disguise stuff, and they can't undisguise.
This is great with the dog walker.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The dog watcher and the watchdog. So I think this is like a D plus if you're not aggressive. I don't think you put this if
I
you're
don't
not
think this.
aggressive.
You're not taking this if you're not aggressive.
Yeah, and if you're very aggressive, I still just think it's like a C plus.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's insane in those decks, but yeah.
Ooh, please be good. Crow Crovod Haunch.
Yep.
1 white. Maybe this is what the kitty was eating. A Crovod, because this also does not look cooked on the interior.
Yeah.
Well, I guess none of this has been cooked, actually.
Yeah. I was
Okay.
about to say it's frozen still, so.
A food equipment is what we've graduated to in the game of Magic the Gathering.
Oh, I love that.
1 white mana for a food equipment at uncommon. Equipped creature gains +2/+0. Bone Splitter? Nope, equip is 2. So not quite Bone Splitter, but still decent. You can sacrifice it to gain 3 life, paying 2 and tapping because it is a food. Yeah, don't hate that. When it's put into the graveyard from battlefield, you may pay 1 and a white. If you do, make 2 1/1s. What? They really
Interesting.
they're just playing like Mad Lib mashup the Gathering. I'm not talking down to the developers. It's the greatest game, the greatest developers in the world working on the game, but like they're just like, hey, let's play False Alarm plus a food token plus Bone Splitter,
Yeah.
all on one card. We'll make it
How many
uncommon.
things can we fit on one card?
So if it wasn't an equipment and it just did its thing for 4 mana, basically. You gain 4 mana, gain 3 life, make 2 1/1s at instant speed, because you can do all that at instant
5.
speed, is like pretty good. It's really slow, but I like the material, I like the life gain, I like that it's an instance. The fact that this
Yeah.
is also doing equip stuff, I don't know when you sack this is the weird part. As an equipment, so I want to say this equipment is good because I was a big fan of Bone Splitter, but we've seen versions of this not be great, like the +2/+0
Yeah. Yeah.
has not been great.
I
So
think I think this is only good in a deck that cares about tokens.
hey, I actually can't hear you right now because my earpiece died, which we need to take a break right after this. In anyway, but
Okay.
yeah, I really don't. This has so much going on. It seems okay, like all together. Like I will try it. This is something I'm gonna try and just see how it plays. Like it's
Yeah.
doing so much. I feel like something
It's
has to be
doing
good here, right?
Yeah, I agree that I really want this card to be good and feel like it should be good, but it's just got so much text. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of ways to use it.
it it has gain life's energy, sacrificing artifacts energy, tokens energy, and just general aggressive equipment base concept. So I give it a C.
Yeah,
Or
right,
please don't
right.
know. I mean, I guess in Boros this is probably like a C plus or something, like aggressive Boros, because like you trade off with it and then you're like, I guess the idea is like it's good at helping you trade off and be aggressive until it's not because you run out of creatures, and then it's like screw it, gain some
Yeah,
life and make some creatures. Now
right.
my other anthem effects, or the second one of these, is actually good. That's the other fact. This actually doesn't get significantly worse in multiples because like one can power the other, which
Yeah,
is kind of
yeah,
neat.
definitely.
All right. So makeshift binding 2 and a white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile a target creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield, and you gain 2 life. So this is yet again an Oblivion Ring effect, specifically just for creatures. Um, and you gain life. And this is a common, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's just a solid removal card to have in a white deck.
Like this is like B minus, right? Like I think this is
Yeah, yeah.
like
I
how
mean,
much
it's an
enchantment hate is
it,
there? We haven't seen that much.
I mean, the card we just passed one, but yeah, I mean, there is some, but not like an egregious
Yeah,
amount.
good point. We did. Um, yeah, I think this is probably a B minus. Maybe just a C.
Yeah,
I mean, the gaining 2 life. The fact that it's at common is kind of frightening, honestly. Like this is pretty premium removal to have at common.
yeah, for sure. You just pops in any white deck. Oh, we're making a detective.
Yeah, this thing does make a detective, a white and blue
It
detective.
is on death.
Yeah, it is a low disguise cost as well. I don't know. I don't think it's that interesting enough to talk about.
Eh. All right, Neighborhood Guardian, 1 and a white, creature unicorn, 2/2. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So this is just very good in any aggressive deck. Also works with all disguising, all cloaking, like
It's target creature. It's target creature. You control gets a
yeah.
1/1 counter, so it can target itself.
But it's just till end of turn. Yeah, yes.
And it's not one or more either. It's as so like if you
Mm,
made a whole bunch of
yeah, yeah.
tokens,
If you
they
make it,
all
yeah, this
proc plus.
triggers. Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah. That
all
triggers
proc it.
immediately.
This feels like it's even
Yeah.
like a commandery sort of card, to be honest, because
hmm
that's a
That's
lot
a
of
lot of
triggers.
power.
That's a lot of triggers.
Well, I mean, this is if you're making tokens and you're attacking with your commander, like you just this can end a game if you have
Yeah.
like anointed procession or
Oh
anything else
yeah, that's true.
in
Yeah, because you
play.
can just stack them all on your commander too to get
Yeah, yeah,
command
you
points.
just literally end the game immediately.
Yeah, so I think this is like a B.
I think it's
I
a
like.
build around B. I mean, you've got to be making tokens, I think, to give a shit about this, but
You might just care. I mean, it turns all
I mean,
your
it's
two
relevant
X's
damage.
into.
It costs only 2, so like the barrier
Yeah,
for
like you're
entry
just
is
you're
low.
slamming
Yeah,
this
I guess.
all the time in every
Yeah,
game
yeah,
that you
yeah, yeah,
play.
yeah. You're
Like
right.
it's
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No,
like
it's a B and maybe like a B plus in a build around.
because remember it's targeted too. Like imagine what this does to flyers. Oh my god. Yeah, you're
Oh,
losing.
that's
You're
a
losing
good point,
fast.
Thomas.
You're
That's a
losing
good point.
fast. You're losing fast with cheap flyers to this one. Whew. Yeah,
Well,
I think it's like a B. All right, let's look for another one. Oh, this is interesting. All right, so not on my watch. 1 and a white instant exile target attacking creature. So that's cheap for this.
it's cheap for this.
It's normally 3, so it's
Yeah.
obviously
I
very
mean,
narrow.
it's an instant.
It has to be.
It certainly does. It certainly does. You have a strong point you're making
Yeah,
here, and that
yes.
it would fizzle
This
immediately
would be
every
great.
time otherwise.
They should have printed this at sorcery in an unset. Just be like, they said they're not going to make an unset again, or it's very unlikely. But like this at sorcery speed would be great.
Oh, do you think it's going to drive the prices way up
Probably not,
for the
because
last one?
they don't even care about the old ones. Like you don't even care about
Yeah,
like
that's
you can
fair.
even pick
Yeah,
up.
people don't care
I
about
guess
them.
unglued the original is like worth a little bit, but I think this is
But
probably like a C plus. It's
yeah,
pretty effective. It unfortunately still costs 4 to target the disguise things, so that's not great. Oh, we have to talk about this.
yep,
This is
yep.
it. Here
Well,
you go.
so this is a staple card for this limited set. Novice Inspector, 1 white, creature, human, detective. So 1/2 for 1, and when it enters the battlefield, investigate.
Yeah.
It replaces itself. It's a small body. There's tons of things that like small bodies in this set. There's tons of things that are wanting to investigate. It's a slower format. There's plenty of
Want a
things that want tokens
it's
coming
a one
in.
cost
Like
detective. Like
it's a
that's it's a
detective.
detective. It's
Like
everything. This is a B
this goes
minus.
in.
Might be a
Yeah,
B.
minus. It's
It might
not
be a
like
B.
insane on its own, but like
Oh,
it
I think
just
it
goes
is.
everything.
I think
Yeah, I
I
mean
I
it's
think it's just nuts. I think this card's just
fair,
nuts. I think this
really
card
good.
for 2 mana is pretty good. Um, so I'll take it at
Yeah,
1 at common.
yeah.
This by itself just
At
makes me
common.
interested in white. Like
Oh, for sure. White anything. White and anything.
yeah, white at a premium. Oh, I'm gonna read this one. Perimeter Enforcer. 1 and a white for a 1/1 flying lifelink. Whenever another detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, it gets +1. Oh, until end of turn. Come on. I thought that was gonna be a counter. It's fine. It's a flying lifelink 1/1 that sometimes a flying lifelink 2/2. This is fine. It's like a
Yeah.
C. It's a C plus.
Yeah, it's a C plus.
It's a C plus. You hate to see this when you have the 3/1 flyer, like even though it recurs or whatever X1 flyers you have. It's a clue. Get it? From Clue?
Yeah.
Wrench? Like Clue?
Yeah.
Like with the
Yeah.
wrench? It sacks like it's a clue? Clue! It's a clue! Clue equipment. Clue? Get a clue.
Get a fucking clue.
That was the review of that card.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Do you wanna
I
read
haven't
this?
seen those cards. Yeah, so this is Agency Outfitter. It's 4 and 2 blue. It's a creature Sphinx detective at uncommon, and it's a 4/3 flyer. When Agency Outfitter enters the battlefield, you may search your graveyard hand and or library for a card named Magnifying Glass or a card named Thinking Cap and put them into the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. So I don't know what those cards are, but I'm assuming they're clues. So essentially, it's just making you 2 clues with the upside of whatever those cards have on them.
I
So
haven't
I
been
mean, it's a
looking at the
4/3 flyer for 6. I mean, a 4/3 flyer is, I think, always good. It's also a detective, so maybe a 4/3 flyer that
Okay, so
maybe is drawing you 2 cards.
I'm gonna tell you
It's
what
good
these things
enough.
are. Magnifying Glass is a 3-cost artifact that taps for colorless.
Oh,
And
interesting.
you can pay 4 and tap it to investigate. And it puts it
Interesting.
on the battlefield.
Yes, it puts it on the battlefield,
And it can do it from your hand.
and it can do it from your hand.
So it has no fail case. Like if you're playing the card and it's not exiled, it's getting into play for free.
Yeah,
So let's see Thinking Cap. Thinking Cap costs 1, and it's an equipment that gives +1/+2, and it equips for 3 or equips Detective for 1, which means for 7 mana this is a 5/5 flyer, right? Because this is a detective, so it equips for 1 with this.
yeah.
You will definitely get 1 Thinking Cap for free in a draft if you want it, and a
Oh,
Magnifying Glass.
and a magnifying glass, yeah.
Can you put those bad cards in your deck? I mean, Magnifying Glass isn't terrible if you're super slow. Like,
Yeah, you have to have so much control to do that.
yeah, you have to be super slow. But this we've seen now, like these 4 attack flyers for like 5 and 6, so it's definitely a thing. Like you're gonna have to worry about the air, and again, if you're
Yeah,
super slow, the air is good. This might be the 6 cost 4/3 flyer you want. I don't know.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Just because, I mean, surely one of those things you can pick up through a
It,
draft
it's
pretty
still probably
consistently.
it's still probably a C+ though, right?
This is the harder thing to get. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
It
it's a
might be
build around
good.
C plus.
It might be good. Depends.
Behind the mask.
I hate that card. Oh, so here's I'm not sure I actually want to do a thing on this, but here's like something that sacks artifacts for free. Like that converts clues for free. It's just really expensive, so it's like not that interesting.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm looking on. That's what like if that was on a cheap creature, I would have done a thing on that because
Oh,
that's
for sure.
oh I actually want to take this one because this is just straight up kicker.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Bubble Smuggler, 1 and a blue for a 2/1 octopus fish. And when it's turned face up, you can disguise it for 5 and a blue. And when it's turned face up, you put 4/1/1 counters on it. So that disguise is just straight up kicker. It's just 100% kicker because it's a 2/1 for 2 or it's a 6/5 for 6. So
Yeah.
that's the most kicker. But you have to spend 3 more mana on it to make it the
Yeah.
6/5
Yeah.
for 6.
Yes.
But remember that 6/5 for 6 is basically a combat trick that cannot be responded to.
Yeah.
They can still take an action after it, so it's not like combat damage will happen no matter what, but like it's still a pretty big pump on that creature that's pretty hard to kill. So I don't know. Like, I'm not saying this card's good. I just think this is a funny application of disguise. It's just like,
Yeah, I agree.
I'm 2 creatures. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, you want to take this one? This one's pretty interesting.
Okay, yeah. So this is another case. It's a case of the Filched Falcon. It's 1 blue. When this case enters the battlefield, investigate. To solve, you control 3 or more artifacts. So that's interesting. And solved, pay 2 and a blue, sacrifice this case, put 4 1/1 counters on target non-creature artifact. It becomes a 0/0 bird creature with flying in addition to its other types. So it makes a 4/4 flyer for free if you can get 3 artifacts. So like here, like, but you have to be in artifacts and in cases. I mean, this is an interesting
You
card and enables some of
you
the
don't
other
have
cards.
you don't have to be in cases. Why do you have to be in cases?
That's true. You just have to care
Like
about artifacts.
this is a case. You just
Yeah,
care
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
artifacts. You just care
You
about
just care about
artifacts.
artifacts.
3 seems reasonable. Like we've seen several artifact creatures.
Yeah.
We've seen a bunch of clues out there, and it spots you 1, so you only need 2 other ones.
And essentially a 4/4 bird for 4 is not too
Right.
bad.
So like a 4/4 flyer for 4 that draws you a card.
For
You're in
good.
for, right? Like, imagine you have 2 artifacts on turn 4. That's actually kind of what this is, right? Because you
Yeah.
just play it, it immediately solves, or I guess it solves on your
Hmm.
end step, and you can sack this at instant speed. So, like, the play pattern would literally be it solves, or you play it, it solves on your end step. You don't sack it until the end of your opponent's turn, and then you have a 4/4 flying haste.
Yeah.
It's not really haste because you're doing this on turn 4. So a 4/4 flying haste implies it is attacking on turn 4, but that's not the case. It's still attack on turn 5, but it is harder to interact with from your opponent. I really like this card. Like
I
I
also like this card.
I feel obviously increasingly good with the more because like its fail case is some dirtily stuff that replaces itself, right? And if this format is as slow as it seems, that's fine. Like it's not good.
It's got a great payoff. It's easy enough to get.
The
You can
payoff
get
here
it
is
pretty
huge.
consistently in this deck
I guess the other
or
thing
in
is
this limited set.
it could create some tension too though where like you don't want to sack the clue. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you play
Yes.
this
A million
early
percent.
and then you make another clue, you're like imagine you like flood
Right.
out to a land and you have 2 clues and you're like shit.
Yeah, yeah.
like,
I think you
like
still pop the clues,
I
but
think you still
yeah,
pop
it
the
sucks.
clues, yeah, but it feels bad. It feels real bad. Because like this doesn't even have to sack the clues or anything. Like you're getting it for free basically.
Yeah.
Once you have
Yeah.
3 artifacts, and you only have to hit it once. So I like this design. I like this card, but I think this is
Yeah.
probably like a B minus.
You think this is a B? I think it's a C plus.
No, I
No.
think it's pretty built around, but I think if you don't have a reasonable way to make clues or have other artifact creatures, you're just not playing this. But if you are playing this, if
Yeah.
you've made the correct decision to play this, I think this is functionally like even a B plus. It's a 4/4 flyer for 4 that draws a card.
Yeah, that's insane, but you have to get
Yeah,
there still.
you just
You're
need
not
to
gonna
the only thing it's asking you for is 2 artifacts. That's it.
2 additional artifacts.
Yeah, 2 additional artifacts. That's all it's asking for. If you don't think you can reasonably get that, then I wouldn't play it. But
Yeah, yeah.
like with the 3-bit inspector, that's a
I mean,
common.
if you're in inspectors, you can probably get it
Yeah, you have
pretty
2.
easy.
If you have 2 of those, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty Azorius card, if I were to guess.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Cold case cracker.
3/3 flyer that draws a card on death. This is pretty good.
Or
This is like a C plus.
yeah, that's pretty good.
That's good.
I mean, it's just a solid ass card.
They've really brought flyers back here. Like here's a Windrake with upside. Oh, if you collect 6 evidence, then you get to put a stun counter. So it's like a flying, it's like a flying sphinx, but you have to collect 6 evidence. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Interesting.
It's what is it called? Curious obsession. This is curious inquiry. It's not an obsession. It's a mere inquiry. I'm making tokens instead of drawing cards whenever it deals damage, and it's combat damage. They copped out. They didn't make it any damage so that you can't infinite loop artifacts. Lame.
This is the main detective, right?
Is it? Yeah.
I forget his name.
Who is it in the set? It's Shit, I forgot to.
It's not Kellen, but
No, that's not Colin. Oh, draw a card, investigate. Here we go.
huh.
It's at
Yeah.
instant speed.
Yep.
It's instant. What do they call the? Oh shoot! What's the standard draw 2 card colloquially called? I don't even remember. Divination. They just printed the instant speed divination. This is instant speed divination with more steps.
Yeah.
You're probably not playing that unless there's. We didn't see red blue spells matter really. It's like red blue artifacts
No.
matter.
Yeah.
This is the blue tap thing. But you also get to shuffle the enchanted creature into the owner's library, which is kind of interesting. So it's like better than that typically is.
Slowly pushing the boundaries.
Yeah. Eliminate the impossible. Oh, this is doing some. It investigates and then it like manipulates suspected stuff with debuffs. This is maybe fine. It investigates, so like.
Weird.
Okay. You want to take this one?
Yeah. Exit specialist, 1 and a blue. It is a human detective. Exit specialist can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. It has disguise 2, 1 and a blue. It's a 2/1, by the way. When exit specialist is turned face up, return another target creature to its owner's hand. Damn. Okay. Well, this card is just very, very good. Very good for tempo.
Yeah. Whew. Whew. Hate to see this in the Flyers or the Detective deck if your opponent's
Oh
running
yeah.
it. Like, this is the.
Also a detective.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, this is
Uh,
trouble because both of those decks seem like pretty aggressive in this not very aggressive format because they're like awkward to deal with or just flyers. And this is like you said, a huge tempo card. So
yeah.
and it's just good by itself. You don't need to be doing either one of those
Oh,
things.
this card is for
Just
sure
seems
good. This
good.
card is
Yeah,
so
this is
good.
like it's like a B minus to B probably. Gets up to maybe even a B plus in the heavy detective deck. You really want to
For
see one of
sure.
those. Oh, here we go. Do you want the flash enchantments? I feel like you like flash enchantments. You want this one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're on to Fey Flight, an uncommon 2 cost 1 and a blue enchantment aura. It has flash. Enchant creature. When Fey Flight enters the battlefield, enchanted creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has flying. So this is a great trick to
This
nope
slaps.
people.
It
And
the Go ahead.
I mean, the fact that it gives it's so good in so many random situations, and it being flexible is what is so important in limited, because you can use it as a trick just to kill something, block a flyer, protect something, or just run at their face. I mean,
Yeah. This card is like you. It's really bad if you play it without. It's not really. It's insanely risky to play it without getting value out of it immediately from the hexproof portion. It is
yes,
insanely risky, but it will be tempting sometimes to do it, and you
yeah,
may lose a game when you do it. But there are going to be games where this
that
just
you would win otherwise.
single-handedly win. Like imagine that 4/2 that shoots something for 2 when it dies. Remember, like the 5 thing. Like imagine you like they perfectly set up combat, but they like tapped out to play that 5 drop, but they know if you swing into them, they're gonna like do good stuff, and so that's their
Yeah,
plan. And then you do it, and they try to shoot like one of your flyers for 2, and you just or whatever for 2, and you just play this on it.
yeah, and you're like, sorry.
Yeah, that's like a blowout. So yeah, it's hard. I'm gonna hate losing to this card. I tell you what, if you get behind, which I guess the weird thing is that it gives flying, but like one of the best decks this would be in would be against the flying, like in a flying deck, where they
Yeah.
have to like remove your flyers because you're coming at them too fast. And then you're like, no. But yeah, I personally don't even really like playing these cards, but I could see putting it in like a very, very creature heavy deck. Um, what would you give this?
C
What would you give it?
plus.
C plus? Yeah, maybe. They can be good. I'd probably give it a C, but I think it'd be good. Untap another target so a 1/3 for 3 Merfolk Detective, all the detectives. Untap another target permanent you control. That's neat. Collect 3 evidence. Tap target creature you don't control. That's less neat. That should probably be free on a 3 mana creature, or just cost 1 mana. Like, collect 3 evidence is a pretty high tax compared to 1 mana. Because when you need that, you need that. And if it's just
Yeah.
1 mana, then this is basically like pseudo removal in a sense. Like removal that
Yeah.
you can move to whatever their most powerful creature is, which is why that's generally good. But 3 evidence, like a depleting resource, it ain't the same. It does untap something, but I'm kind of off this. I don't even want to evaluate it. It's like, I don't know. It's like C minus. Oh, this card's cool. I want to take this one. All right. So we got Furtive Courier, 2 and a blue for a Merfolk Advisor, 3/2. It can't be blocked as long as you've sacrificed an artifact this turn. And whenever it attacks, you draw a card, then you discard a card. So this is this is an excellent glue piece. It's great card selection. A loot effect on attack is great. The fact that it can protect itself into looting if you're investigating is tremendous, as well as like quite a bit of pressure. Like this is 3 damage. That's not nothing. And the discard fuels collecting evidence. This card I think is quite good. Like
I think this card single-handedly makes the other draw a card and investigate for 2 better in blue.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if you got like 2 of these in your deck, you're just
yeah,
taking all of those little blue cards.
yeah. And you can take. You're probably trying to play blue green, I guess, because green seems to have a lot of evidence collecting from what I've seen.
Yes, yeah, and 1/1,
I
so
might be
you can
wrong
make
about
it
that.
even bigger.
Yeah, I think this guy's good. I think he's like B plus. I think he could be B
Yeah,
plus.
yeah. You
Looting
see
on
it
it.
in your in blue, you're taking it.
Yeah, I'm taking it. This is
This is
5
hilarious.
cost, a 5 cost mana war, and if you bounce your own thing, you investigate. Or 6 cost mana war. No, thank you. Nope. Oh, here's an uncommon. Do you want to take this? This card's a meme, but it's a good meme. We've
All right,
never seen
so
something like this. We've never seen a card like this. Go for it.
Living Conundrum,
It's a
4 and a
conundrum.
blue.
It's a conundrum.
Creature Elemental Uncommon. It's hexproof, or it's a 2/5 and it's hexproof. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, skip that draw instead.
As one
As
does.
long as there are no cards in your library, Living Conundrum has base power and toughness 10/10 and has flying and vigilance.
It should also gain indestructible just to like because it's a conundrum. Conundrums are indestructible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Interesting.
this is hilarious. I love that it gives you what everyone has played Magic for a long time has at least experienced once when you have to draw with no cards in your deck and you'd like to say no thanks, I don't think I will. Um,
Right.
this finally has that text. I'm not sure anything's ever had that text before.
Yeah, I've
It
never
doesn't
I've
let
never
you.
read it.
It doesn't let you opt to to draw and lose. It doesn't. You have to skip it. Um, flying and this thing has hexproof. Don't forget, it has hexproof.
Yes.
That's a hexproof flying vigilance 10/10.
I mean, it's
Is this
it's
any
game
good?
winning, but I no.
We haven't seen the self-mill. If there was a powerful self-mill theme, I would say this isn't bad.
Yeah, we're not in black yet, so we don't know.
But yeah, you probably would have seen it in blue at this point. So yeah, no, I don't
Yeah,
think this is good, but it's really
I mean,
funny.
I
You don't think you
don't
can
believe
play
it
it.
could be, but Mistway Spy.
This is a flyer? I did not see flying. Okay, Mistway Spy, 1/1 flyer for 1, disguise 1 in a blue. It's a detective, a 1/1 flying detective for 1. Ruh-roh. When his
Oh
turn
my
face up
goodness.
until end of turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, investigate. That's
This
like,
card is good.
eh. I think it's almost better as a 1/1 flyer for. Oh, it's whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, and it's not one or more. Okay, so it counts separate instances separately. That's better than I thought. So I was gonna say it's almost better as a 1/1 flyer for 1 that's a detective, because when you undisguise this, it's still just a 1/1 flyer that you're hoping draws you a card. It probably will draw you a card, but also everything else that deals damage that turn also draws you a card.
Yes.
So it's quite aggressive. Once again, flyers, Azorius flyers seem to be the thing with
Are good.
detectives. Yeah. What are you? I mean, are you really playing this for 3? And then, so I guess the whole disguise on 3 or morph on 3 or whatever you want to call it, and then undisguise or uncloak for 2, and then play a 2-drop is like a common play pattern because we've seen so many disguise
Yes.
2 CMCs.
I mean, I think you want to play this as late as possible, just to like have a shit ton of clues on the board.
Oh yeah, just get what you please. Yeah, I mean that's the fact that it's effective early and effective late. Do you play this on turn 1 if it's in your hand?
If you don't have a better play, or you need any kind of tempo, or if you have like a really aggressive, good rest of your hand,
Aggressive opener.
you're just like, yeah, you're like,
If you have private
go for
eye, you're
fire.
just slamming it right.
Oh,
You
absolutely,
just slam
absolutely.
it right in his eye. Yeah, I like him. What do you think he is? Is he like a B minus?
I think it's a, I think it's a C plus, B
I think he's a
minus.
C
Nah,
plus.
it's a B minus. No, it's a B. I'm lying to myself and
Yeah,
all the good people here.
yeah, it's a B minus. Don't care. So this thing loots when it comes into play, or any other detective comes into play, or any detective is turned face up. It loots. Sure. C minus. They printed the worst version of Mana Leak, whose name I can't remember.
Spell Pierce.
No. Spell Pierce is 1 blue, only non-creature spells, unless they pay 2. This is maybe okay.
Yeah, it's any spell.
It's maybe okay. We'll have to see the format. This is nuts. You want to take this? This is
Yeah.
nuts. This is nuts.
All right. Sudden setback. 2 and a blue. Instant uncommon. The owner of target spell or non-land permanent puts it on top or bottom of their library. Yeah, this is just in really good removal,
Yeah, really
especially in a blue deck that's trying to slow things down.
counterspell and removal.
Yeah,
It's like a
counterspell and
B.
removal.
B
Yeah, for
plus.
sure. Yeah,
Look, buddy, you're not in trouble.
you're taking this in blue.
Oh yeah. Look, buddy, you're not in trouble. I just want to ask you a surveillance monitor. Oh, this one's neat. I'll take this one. Surveillance monitor, 3 and a blue for a 3/3 Vedalken detective.
The Falcon.
Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may collect 4 evidence, and whenever you collect evidence, you get a 1/1 Thopter with flying and as an artifact.
Yeah,
This is pretty good. I think this is pretty good. I like it. It's making me artifacts. It's collecting some evidence. Blue seems to be good at looting, which really helps the evidence. aspects of things, yeah, I think this is like a C plus or B minus. If you're really good at collecting evidence, this is a B minus. Making a bunch of 1/1 flyers. It really seems like flyer is the main approach to winning in this set. No, thank you. No, thank you. It's an interesting card, but not interesting enough. How big is it? Is it 33? Was flying. Oh, you want to take this? You're a Gorgon.
Case of the Gorgon's Kiss. 1 black. It's a case. When this case enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Not a great effect, but something to have.
For 1
It's
black.
not a bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. We've seen this card before. I mean, this isn't an instant. It doesn't have flash, so you can't do it on their turn.
That's true.
So to solve, 3 or more creature cards were put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn.
Oh, anywhere. That's good.
So you can loot into this.
Looting, yeah.
Solved. This case is a 4/4 Gorgon creature with Death Touch and Lifelink, in addition to its other types.
Maybe self-mill's too strong in this set.
Yeah, I think it would be. I mean, a 4/4 Death Touch Lifelink is insane.
Yeah, dude, imagine you just throw a token into one of their creatures. That's 1, like a 1/1. You play this, that kills another one. That's 2. So you really are trying to solve this the turn that you play this is like the thing, right? Which is I think actually incredible flavor because like it's the Gorgon. If you don't solve it right then, you know.
Yeah. You're done. You're donezo.
Yeah. You better get it. You find them, then you're gonna be the one dead. So if this is a 1 mana 4/4 Death Touch Lifelink that also killed something kind of, or like traded up.
An ass beating, yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
How hard is it to do it?
In an aggressive deck, this could be nuts.
Yeah. I mean, this one's gonna have a ground test.
Even
this is gonna have a ground test in both the people that are playing it and the people that are playing against it. As if you, for some reason, just can't pull it off, and then when this gets pulled off on you, you're just like, whatever. Like, what am I supposed to do about this?
Yeah.
Like on turn 4, they're like. They like play like you got a favorable trade. They play this, kill your biggest thing that just got a favorable trade, and like two of my creatures died, and then I also play a 3-drop, and I'm like, yeah, I play a 3-drop
so sorry.
4/4 that touch lifelink on turn 4. But what's the issue here?
I mean, is this?
It's it's like an A minus if you pull that off. Like the power level of this is so strong if you hit this.
It's a build around, but the thing is it's not that hard to build around in this set.
It's not a build around. It's just like a setup. It's like you gotta set it up.
Right.
It's a puzzle.
It has to be set up.
So I would actually look to play around this, I think. Like I would be really scared of this card because I can just see this card single-handedly is just going to like loot. Like if you just if you do not have a way to deal with the 4/4, you're gonna lose. Because
you're gonna lose.
It's also gonna, like, if they swing at you and you're like, that's a dumb attack, and they're in black, you're just like, well, like.
And even if they can remove the Gorgon immediately, like, you've already gotten value from killing their thing, hopefully.
Because, like, the thing is, let's say they attack with 3 things, right? You can only kill one of them to prevent this from doing its thing. Because if you profitably block one of them, it kills their thing. They will play this to kill your thing. So if you killed even one more of their things with an advantageous block, this triggers.
Yeah.
And it looks backwards, right? Because it says were put into a graveyard from anywhere this turn. And that's not even considering looting's energies, in which case it might be very well impossible to keep this from triggering. Like that guy that automatically loots when he attacks, the detective that we said was really good, right?
Right.
So like you attack with
Yeah.
that, and you also just throw a token into them, which they easy block, and then you play this and Yahtzee because you also discard the
Right.
creature. Yeah,
Yeah. Surprise.
this is probably like a B minus. I think I'm talking myself into it. Maybe it's too much of a hoop to jump through. You want tokens. That's all
Yeah.
I can say. You want little
But I feel
little
like there's so
little.
so many tokens already we've seen.
Yeah, or I think this is
Generators. It's
insane.
not.
Orzhov.
I'm saying it's not that hard to fit this in.
Modal discard 2. Either they discard 2 or you take a non-land card. That's interesting. We've never seen this. A Mind Rot that can also be targeted any type of card removal.
Interesting. Yeah.
Kind of wild, actually.
Kind of wild.
It might be decent. Those are better in slower formats.
Yeah.
Discard 2s are pretty good in slower formats. So, you want to read this one?
Clandestine Meddler. 2 and a black. Creature, vampire, rogue at uncommon. When Clandestine Meddler, and it's a 3/2, sorry. When Clandestine Meddler enters the battlefield, suspect up to one other target creature you control. Whenever one or more suspected creatures you control attack, surveil one. Huh.
Desmond does suspect other, not himself.
And it can surveil immediately.
Surveilling is a
like,
good way to get up your evidence as
yeah,
well.
for sure. I mean, I think this card is really good in a deck that cares about surveilling.
Yeah, I mean, we said this format's supposed to be pretty slow, but like Suspect makes it faster, and Flyers make it kind of fast. Flying and Suspect makes it definitely fast. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Because like if Rakdos is all about suspecting, like this is only
to
creature
be.
control. Because you know what's also interesting? Think about the dichotomy of suspecting one on each side. It's like additive in a weird way, right? Because the one that you suspect of theirs can't block, and the one you suspect of yours now has menace, which just means combat be free, yo.
Yeah.
You know? So how is this format going to be slow? I haven't seen like bad stats. I don't know. I hope it is, because if it's not, I don't see how a lot of this is working. I guess we didn't even really rate this. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a
C+.
It's a B minus and build around C plus, just generally.
A double edict for 2, and if you collect evidence for 6, then it's just the opponent's greatest power. Whatever. You mill 2. Okay. I'll read this one. Fester Leech.
Okay.
1 black for a 1/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, mill 2 cards. And you can pay 1 and a black to give it +2/+2 until end of turn. But you can only do it once each turn. So this is the definition. It's threat of activation into threat of evidence. That's what this card is. It's if you block me, you best be a 3/3, and even then we're probably trading. Otherwise, I'm powering my little evidence off.
Yes.
Goodness.
This card is interesting.
I think it's like a C plus, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like a C minus, but still, I like it.
Really, you think it's a C minus?
C. It's a C. It's a C. It's just good.
I think
it's just good. Yeah, it's good.
I think if it just was a 1/1 that could pump up to 3, it would be pretty good. Look, it's a clue.
Yep.
Like the lead pipe. Like, you know, clue. It's a clue equipment. It acts like a clue. It's a clue. You know? Clue? Get a clue. Leering Onlooker. It's a 1/3 flying for 1 and a black. And you can exile it from your graveyard to make 2 1/1 flyers. This is
very good.
Yeah, I like this. This is good. This is good to mill over. This is good to surveil into your yard.
Oh yeah. No, this card is just very good.
It's not bad to play. I love the art. She's just like chilling above the people with her bats, you know. Deuces.
Oh yeah. She seems like a good time. She looks like she's fallen on hard times though. She got that lot lizard hair.
Oh no. Yeah, I like this. I think this is maybe even a B minus. I just really like the idea of milling this thing.
Yeah, no, I mean there's definitely milling and surveilling and other things. So
I'm paying 4 for 2/1/1 flyers. Oh, they're tapped. That's lame.
oh, they are tapped.
Maybe that actually does bring
They'll
it down
probably
to a C plus. You want to take this? This is a meta-defining card.
long goodbye. 1 and a black. Instant. This spell cannot be countered. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. Jesus. Yeah, I mean this is just premium removal,
Yeah,
premium ass removal.
it's mana value too. The fact that this says
Yeah.
Planeswalker, I think, is like specifically targeted at older formats as well, like in sideboards, like real constructed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just playing this unlimited. You're just playing. I'm not sure it's like a B plus because it is. Ironically, unlimited probably power 3 or less is better than CMC 3 or less, right? Because you could have like 5 cost CMC flyers that this would kill if it was power instead of mana value, but it's still really good.
Yeah,
Probably like
just
B
a very
minus.
good card.
Murder, cool art, just classic
Yeah.
murder. Here we are. It's been a while, old friend. Hello, darn it. This is a 4/2 flyer for 4 that loses you 3 life on ETB, but if you disguise it, you get around that because it doesn't ETB when you turn it face up.
Yeah, interesting.
So this is a slow format, or we playing 4 power flyers on turn 4 that lose us life? One of these things is not like the others.
Might be playing a lot of Rakdos.
Yeah, and the Tectos also look. I think this is going to be like a Rakdos versus Azorius sort of goings on, and green blue will once again be predictably terrible, because it's like in the middle of everything and no one cares.
Yeah, no one
So
cares
do you
about green blue.
what do you think about disguising this? Like, is it worth it to avoid the 3 life? Because this thing is pretty premium on turn 4. Like 4/2 flyer on 4 is a house.
Yeah, yeah. I think I ideally want to be playing this on 4 for 4, losing 3 life, and I've been smashing them already.
It does kind of trade with anything into this guy as well, and you can avoid losing
Yeah,
life. So I guess like if you're ahead, you're just slamming the front, and if you're behind, you're considering the back, right?
right.
You can even trade it off on the ground with like a 4/4, you know?
1,000,000%. Especially a 4/4 Death Touch lifelink.
Yeah, God.
You have to.
Um, I think this is pretty good. I think this is a B minus. I
Yeah,
think
no, it's just good.
if you can play this and back it up with like white's removal or black's removal that we've seen,
Oh, it's a house for 4.
it ends the game fast. Yeah, I think it's like a B minus.
It's wasted.
What? No. Why is there poison? No, no, thank you. Why did we just throw poison into the set for no reason? I don't understand. What? Do you want to read this? This is ridiculous.
All right. Polygraph Orb, 4 and a black, artifact,
What?
uncommon. When Polygraph Orb enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest in your graveyard. You lose 2 life. Tap 2 and or pay 2 and tap. Collect evidence 3. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card.
Or sacrifice a creature. So
Or sacrifice.
here's the game design room when they're doing this. 5 total CMC, 1 color. It's an artifact. On ETB, you look at the top 4, you put 2 of them in your hand. They're like, sounds like a fine blue artifact. Someone's like, it's black. And they're like, what? They're like, it's okay, guys. You lose 2 life. Ignore that the rest of it is the most blue thing that's ever been printed on a card. You lose 2 life. It's fine in black.
Yeah.
And then there's more loss in life and discarding and sacrificing to make it more justified. But like, I never did I think there would be a 5-cost black artifact that picks 2 out of the top 4. So like,
I want to see someone playing this with a conundrum.
Yeah. So just 2 out of the top 4 is like pretty good for 4 instant speed in blue without losing life.
Yeah.
So that's about what that's worth. But this other ability is not nothing. Like,
no, this ability. I think the second ability is the best part.
Yeah, it's weird because the second ability is by no means worth the mana cost. So it's like the whole thing's pretty overcosted because you're like 7 total mana in, but it's like, hey, we're paying you off by giving you the top 2 best cards as well. But also you're losing life because again, we have to put that because it's black and you can't just draw cards. How do you feel about that? Like this is again absurdly slow. I feel like this entire set seems to be fairly aggressive creatures and then flyers.
I really like this card. I just think it's too slow.
Now you're convinced. Now you're convinced the set's fast. The 4/2 flyer for 4 was a bridge too far. I might be.
This is 5. This is 5.
5.
5, and you're in for 7 to even like
yeah, I think
the
it's
ability off. It's just
I tell you what though, man. If you reach a state of the game where you're both off the top and they draw this,
yes, you lose. So
you lose.
that's the thing is, I do like this card, and I think like it could theoretically be very strong. But...
just build turbo control. Just try to build the most control-y removal deck you've ever seen with big fat walls. You want the 110. If the 110's in my deck, I'm playing this. But yeah, I think overall it's probably just like a D. You just only play it if you should. Oh, I hate these types of cards because of scam. Oh, this is interesting. It's a 2/1 that you pay 3 to suspect, and then you can make it a 3/2. No, that's terrible and really slow. How good is this for removal? Take it.
Slice from the shadows. We got Master Girl about to massacre. It's black and X, an instant. The spell cannot be countered. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. I think this is good. This is really good.
These are interesting because so X mana pip damage spells always look good, but they're necessarily overcosted all the time, right? Because like imagine like Candy Grapple, right? Like Candy Grapple, 1 in a black, instant -3/-3, and make a food.
Yeah.
Compared to this, like Candy Grapple's insane.
Candy Grapple's insane.
Candy Grapple was insane, but like so this is much worse than Candy Apple. So I actually think this is like C tier removal, C to C plus.
But if you don't have a lot of removal, you're for sure playing this.
Yeah, you're playing one of these. I think you're always probably playing the first one of these. Pretty close, but like it's really not higher than like C. If it's a really slow format that is playing a bunch of counters, ironically that blue uncommon gets around this. It gets around everything that's not counterable because it doesn't counter them. It puts it on the bottom.
Yeah.
That blue spell's nuts. But yeah, I think that's a typical card that'll get overvalued. This is a weird looking card. This is like reminds me of Rick and Morty in a way. This thing is a 3/4 Death Touch by itself for 4. Terrible. Oh, here's a 1-drop. This thing Surveil. This might be playable. I'll take this one.
Yeah.
Starling Gorehound, 1 black for a 1/1 menace dog. Whenever another creature looks menacing. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield or under you control, Surveil 1. So
it's a great engine for all of this evidence collecting that needs to be done.
You again want to be aggressive.
Yes.
We haven't seen like that many insane evidence collecting payoffs, I feel like.
No, we haven't.
We've
I
seen like
agree.
some
There's been
card
some good
draw,
ones.
or like at the
I
higher
I definitely feel like
rarities.
yeah, the higher rarities. Like if you hit like 2, in the
Yeah,
higher rarities, sure
yeah.
run
I think
this.
this is. I think this is fine. This has a C, but if we see some more, this is probably a C or a C minus. But if we see some more C's down by the seashore, then it's probably like a C to C plus.
Indeed.
Thank you. Oh, this is good. Take it. I just read the beginning of it.
Soul Innervation. 3 and a black enchantment at uncommon. A flash enchantment,
There you go.
as we all know I love. When Soul inner Innervasion
Yeah, I think so.
Innervasion enters the battlefield,
Innervasion.
target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
Nothing quite like instant speed removal that also makes it harder for your opponent to win and easier for you to win.
Yeah, it's just solid removal.
I think this is
Kills a lot of the flyers.
maybe shockingly better than you would think it is. I guess tokens
Yeah.
don't trigger this because they just like evaporate from the graveyard. Maybe tokens do trigger this. Let me. I don't think they do.
Oh, at first, for some reason, I thought this was an aura, like one of the aura enchantments. So I was like, but this goes away, but it doesn't. So yeah, no,
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 it
no, this is
doesn't.
very good. Yeah, this is very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That's this. Yeah, they cease to exist before the state-based change checks to see if they left another zone. So they can transition exactly one zone tokens. So tokens can go from the battlefield, touch the graveyard, and then evaporate. But in the evaporation from the graveyard, they are not leaving the graveyard exactly.
Yeah, they just no
They're
longer exist.
they just no longer exist. They don't change zones again. Um, so I'm pretty sure that means that it will not trigger. Oh, here's a
You got so
specific.
many creatures. I mean, obviously, this is super cool in any of the,
Yeah,
as we said, evidence collecting decks that we don't
yeah,
see a lot of. But if you can't, that's
yeah. I just well this is like indirect. So maybe evidence gathering isn't actually really what we thought so much. Like I did initially, which was like it's an additional cost that leads to a payoff. They're kind of theming it as if it's almost the inverse. Like the act of collecting evidence is an engine that cards provide to provide payoffs in other cards like this.
yes,
You see,
seemingly.
which is very counterintuitive for a magic ability. Typically the abilities on cards that have the cost that require resources have the payoff. But
Right.
instead there's like these other cards that like the ramifications of evidence being collected result
Yeah.
in effects and
Yeah.
payoffs, which
Yes.
is design space that I would not have ventured to have
Gratuitous.
existed to have existed, but yet the magic designers will find it. Yeah, I think this is a B to B plus. I
Yeah.
think this is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. Fair. I would have said B-, but fair enough.
Yeah, I think it's good. This is interesting. Death Touch and Life Leaf investigate. Don't actually hate it.
Oh, actually,
Do
yes.
do.
That's super cool.
Oh, you got really into this one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, anything that's investigating, I'm down for.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. All right,
Honestly.
I like this pace of just skipping things that we don't care about. I'm probably actually gonna keep all of this in too. Like I'm gonna make a bunch of
Yeah,
like I'm
for
gonna cut
common
it
and
up, but just like
uncommons.
keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Who cares? This this is good. Read this.
Okay. Undercity Eliminator. 3 and 2 black. It is a Gorgon Assassin 3/3. When Undercity Eliminator enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. When you do, exile target creature an opponent controls.
Yeah.
Yeah, just insane premium removal.
It can do it to itself, worst case scenario, which is
Yes.
simple flavor, but
Yes.
if
Yeah.
worst
Yeah.
comes to worst, the dedicated assassin will eliminate
Will take
itself
thy life. Yeah.
in order to exile, because it will accomplish
But
the
and
task.
it's kind of like a double entendre with it being a Gorgon, because a Gorgon can also turn themselves to stone.
Oh, really? As like a last ditch
Yeah.
effort or something?
Yeah. Like, well, that's how they beat the
Oh,
Gorgon in history. Is they held a mirror to her face.
oh, yeah, yeah, that's true, that's true. That's true. Man,
Hercules.
this is really good,
It,
obviously. It's
yeah.
really
Yeah.
good.
With their guild shunned from the opening of the doors to Phyrexia, some among the Golgari embraced their status as pariahs and
Yes.
took out their bitterness on all who crossed their path.
Here, here. Preach. Preach
Yes.
on behalf of the Golgari. All
Yeah.
right. Love it. B plus. Slamming
Who?
it. That's probably overvaluing a
Uh,
little bit, but
this is no.
I like it.
It's definitely not a B plus, but it's very good. Very.
That's good. I think it's
It,
worst. It's a B minus. It's probably a B. It might be a
yeah.
B
Yeah.
plus
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
If you have stuff like this in your deck, this is better than the discard. This is much better than
Wow.
the discard because
Yes.
it doesn't
Holy
power
shit.
it doesn't power evidence.
Right. Well.
Boom.
Right. Yes.
And it's a
Yeah.
detective.
This card's so good.
Man, I feel like you really just want. I keep because I see all the detectives and I
And
feel
it's like
like
an
all the
elf.
detective
That's
stuff.
hilarious.
Since all the detective stuff was in blue and white, it just makes me want to like X blue white, right? Like I want to do 3 colors
Yeah.
with a light splash and black or green or whatever else has detectives for me. Um, whoa, you want to read this one?
Mulrack, Clan Basher, 4 and 2 red, Cyclops Warrior, 3/2, Double Strike Trample, has Disguise, 5, 3 and 2 red.
This is an unhappy cloak removal. You're like, what's that
Yeah.
large moving, or what's that small moving mountain coming towards us? Oh,
This card is brutal. I mean, I think it's good. It's the high end in
dude,
your last deck.
you have to disguise this to be good, right? It's not like, or you
Yeah.
have to
Yes.
pump
Yes.
it.
Yes. 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 Yes.
You have to disguise it, or you have to pump it for
Or
it to be
pump it.
good.
Yes. A
You
million
gotta
percent.
be real precarious when your opponents swing at you with 5 mana up. How is this? How is this set slow again? Because like once your opponent has 5 mana up and they have like 2 disguise things or something, and they're like swing. Maybe that's
Yeah,
how because you're waiting to do that.
I will be very interested to see how Disguise turns out in the mind games of Limited. Like how people are going to be playing it and how they're going to be utilizing it. Because
Maybe
like a lot of these need a slow payoff, but like they're so well or there's so many stats. Like how many
yeah.
people are just playing them outright? Obviously, some of them have to be flipped to get their payoffs, but like
Maybe it's just
I
gonna
mean,
be like a
this
big
trick is
standoff.
ridiculous.
Like everyone's just gonna be like this.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's gonna be like
It's the Spider-Man.
the
Like, yeah,
Spider-Man meme
yeah.
because it's gonna be like I'm holding 5 mana up. Watch if I disguise something, and your opponent's gonna be like I'm holding 3 mana up and have really good. You know, I have 2 mana up in
Yeah,
Lightning Helix. Bring it. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah, I dare you.
Yeah, but then I still think that Flyers and Menace are just gonna bypass all this. So I'm actually kind of off this. I think this is too slow. I think it's too slow
Okay.
and dies to too much.
Interesting. Fair.
But it's neat. But I don't think I'd play it. I'd have to see it be good first. I'll take this one. Case of the Burning Masks.
Go for it.
1 red red. Uncommon. Deals 3 damage to target creature an opponent controls on ETB. I'm playing it. To solve 3 or more sources you control dealt damage this turn. That's not bad because each creature counts. And
That's so
this
easy.
counts.
That's
you
so
only need 2
easy.
other creatures. And then you sack it to exile the top 3. Choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Oh, they made they. Oh no! It's fine. You don't have to do that immediately. You can sack this whenever. Yeah, so this is good. At first I thought it like
Yeah.
had to sack immediately, which
No.
would obviously be worse because then you can't really count this as part of the solving cost because you wouldn't want
Right.
to have to cast it this turn. It's neat that they've like kind of come back from the just cast it next turn thing. You know, now recently we've been
Yeah,
seeing exile and do it now.
yeah, just
Um,
fuck it, we're doing it live.
or do it live. Yeah. So I mean, this thing hits. This thing's like a this thing's like a B plus. It hits for 3
Yeah, this
and
card is really
replaces
good.
itself. It is play this card, so it cannot be a land. Wait, no, it is play, so it can be a land. It's cast that cannot be a
Hmm.
land. So yeah, this is like a B plus.
Yeah,
I mean, you really want to be able to solve it, but like 3 damage for 3 mana is already like a B minus.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a C plus, but like replacing itself is so good and card
I think
selection.
this is so premium in this set with so many flyers to have just 3 damage.
A cannot be countered threaten effect that also gets suspected. No, because it costs 5 was
Yeah,
the
it's too
lead there.
much. Too much.
Oh, this is interesting. I want you to take this. This is. I love the ways they play with equipment. So
I,
innovative.
I I love that this concealed weapon is the size of this lizard's
Mm-hmm.
body.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Highly
It is the
concealed.
creature. Yeah. It is the
Uh,
creature. That's the joke.
yeah. Concealed weapon, 1 in a red. Equipped creature gets +3/+0. Disguise 2 in a red. When concealed weapon is turned face up, attach it to target creature you control. Ah, I see what they've done here.
See what they've done there?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh,
It ain't Whistle and Dixie at +3/+0.
yeah.
And it's an instant trick. So imagine you
It's
attack
an
with
instant
something.
trick.
You attack with something kind of
Little and
innocuous,
itty bitty. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then they block this to like eat it because it's just a 2/2, and you're like, JK, attach it to the little thing.
This makes little 1/1 flyers brutal.
If this thing's disguise cost was 2, I think it would be kind of oppressive.
Yeah, I
Just being
agree.
just being able to move 3 damage for 2 mana at instant speed would be kind of wild. The re-equip is not prohibitive. It's
No,
not prohibitive. This is a very aggressive card, though. It's just weird. I still actually don't think this is very good.
I don't think it's very good because it's still like you're still spending your
3 is
turn 3 to play the face down
But 3 is a lot. Like, three
and
turns
3 to turn
one
it up
ones
a lot.
into 4. Like, any
Yeah,
flyers, any amount of token creation. This thing is rough. It will win the game fast. Like, you just can't
yeah,
block 4 attack all game. Like, that's just not a way to win. It's very rare
right.
that you can just do that for sustained
Or once
periods.
again that we talked about the dogs, the dog walker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
and
brutal with that.
that's the floor. Your weakest creature will
Yeah,
have 4 attack is the floor.
right.
Yeah, I want to see it. It might be good, but I'll have to
I
see
think
it
it,
first. I'm putting it like a
yeah, it has a
C
chance.
until I see it. Maybe it's a C plus.
She slays.
+1/+1 menace, and it returns from your graveyard. +1/+1 menace
Uh,
can't block.
plus
Nah,
one menace.
nah.
Alright. I mean, it might
Because
be
it's
an
like
aggressive
aggressive,
deck.
but then like its return from the graveyard thing is like kind of dumb. I don't know.
Is it though?
Compared to this is a card. Take this one.
Cornered Crook, 4 and a red. The Ashino Warrior. It's a 5/4. When Cornered Crook enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, Cornered Crook deals 3 damage to any target. And it's a 5/4?
Just gonna
Yeah, I
leave
mean,
that one there. Yeah, I mean
it's
this is
just,
a this
it's
is just
just a
a B.
solid ass card.
This is a B.
Yeah.
This is the closest to Flame Tongue Kevu we've seen in a while. It's a B, maybe even a B plus. It's brutal. It's
It looks like a
brutal.
little Kevu.
Crime novelist. I'm taking the Commander staple. 2 in a red for a 1/3
Ooh.
uncommon.
Yeah,
Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on it and gain a red mana.
this card is good.
So what's the name of that little commander card that sees some play that costs 1 in a red? It's a 1/2. He's by docks. Commits crime near docks.
Dockside Extortionist.
Yeah. This person is writing the tales of an extortionist by the docks.
Yes,
and is
and getting rewarded
and is
handsomely for it.
Yeah, profiting greatly off extortion by the docks. Thrilling tales, embellishing the tales even. So yeah, Commander out of 10. Also good. Okay, I'm glancing over it here. This has real legs and limited. Real legs and limited. This makes all your clues cost one less to pop.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking
Literally.
about. That effect that we
Yeah.
need, and
I know.
also gets massive.
This is a B plus.
Oh, B plus. That's pretty big. That's pretty steep for a 1/3, but it could be. You have to have other defense. It's really slow.
It's a build around B plus.
Yeah, it's slow, but yeah. I mean, I love it. But yeah, if you have a lot of clues, which you definitely can get in blue, this is basically a blue-red card, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Sacrifice an artifact or discard to draw 2. This is cool. I dig this.
Yeah, I dig this as well.
This basically converts an artifact for free as well, right? Because it's go down a card or sack a clue. So this is good. I think this.
This card's really good.
Yeah, I think this is significantly better than it would suggest otherwise.
Yeah,
and only 2 mana, and it's an instant. I think this is really good. I think this could be like a B minus maybe.
Really?
Like this could be really good.
Converting just
artifacts.
Solid filler card in red.
So you can choose to discard a land to save your clue. You can discard something to power evidence. You can sack an artifact to immediately basically crack a clue. And you can sack an artifact. Yeah, and you can sack artifacts like power when artifacts are sacked, which we've seen some Zenergies with. And it's only 2 mana, and it's an instant. B minus is probably ridiculous, but it's like I think this is good. I don't think it's actually mid minus, but I want to emphasize how much of a C plus I think this is when it normally shouldn't be. Take it.
Expose the culprit. 1 in a red instant. Choose one or both. Turn target face down, creature face up. That's ridiculous for 2. Exile any number of face-up creature cards you control with Disguise in a face-down pile. Shuffle that pile, then cloak them.
Oh my god, I love this card. This is the coolest card in the set. I don't care what anyone says.
This card is ridiculous.
This is one of the coolest cards I think in Limited ever. Because they maybe that's an exaggeration, but the way that they put the abilities is you get the proc from turning it face up first, and then can also put it back face down, right? And then potentially face up again, the same turn.
Right. Yeah, this card is wild.
It removes them from combat as well, by the way.
Interesting.
Because it's a blink.
On other things,
it's not exactly a blink. It's like a super blink. Yeah. They don't even come back as themselves. But also oh no. They have to have disguise. Oh, that's kind of lame. I thought it could do it to any creatures for a second.
Oh no! It does say disguise creatures.
Oh, why? Would it not have been too good to just be able to do it to any creatures?
Yeah. That would have been way too good. Surely there's in red.
Okay.
It's like not even a red thing.
I mean, it's still neat. You just really have to be down disguise.
Yeah, I still think it's cool.
You can force your opponents. The face down one, face up is not just you.
That's funny. Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. And you can still also do the second one to yours if you so desire for some reason. Because like as we've mentioned several times, the dog walker, you're gonna get dog walked. This can get you more tokens out of it.
Yeah.
And that was only 2, right? To undo it, or was it 3? No, it was 3 because it was a 3/1 for 2. That for 3 you turned up because it was 5 all in, and it was definitely a 3/1 for 2. So yeah, I think this is neat. Maybe it's not as good as I wanted it to be initially, but I want to try this.
It's a really cool card in Limited.
I want to see if this. I want to see if this is worth a card if you get there with Disguise. Like, this is like a test. Can this somehow be worth a card with pure shenanigans? It's just shenanigans every direction. Is enough shenanigans worth a card in every direction? Maybe. Possible card out of 10. Tell me what you think about this. I know we're not skipping any cards anymore, but
yeah. Felonious Rage. One red. One red instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. I mean, I think this is an interesting card considering the rest of the set. Like, I think, in general, I really hate cards like this in limited, and I think are generally very bad because there's a million cards that say, you know, gain +2 and haste and something random else. But the +2/+2 white blue detective is theoretically good with other things you're doing. So it just depends.
I'm gonna blow your mind. I think this card is broken.
Broken?
I think this card is actually broken.
Tokens.
This is kind of a wild claim here. No, this is kind of a wild claim. But I'm gonna stake it. This is going to be the most underrated card. This is going to be the one that people miss. I think. Maybe it's actually obvious, and I'm being overly dramatic here, but it wasn't obvious to you, which is a pretty good check, and it wasn't even obvious to me when I first read it. This should look like 1 mana removal that can also double as game winning. No, but like it's obviously very aggressive. But a one mana to make a 2/2 is extremely good. So like imagine
something, even if you're losing something.
Well, let's just say you're not even removing something. Let's just say that it was already going to trade, which is a fail case, right? You're not even using the first part of the ability. All it's going to do is trade. This is a 2/2 for 1 mana. You just played on the creature anyway, and you just played a 2/2 for 1. You didn't even use the first part.
That's insane if you flip up that, or this card is insane if you flip up that double strike, trample, haste card as well, just for like surprise.
Well, it gives haste.
Yes.
Which is also wild. Like, imagine you just play something and just give it haste, and you're like, block it. You know, like, trade with it. Go ahead, trade with it.
Yeah.
I get a 2/2. Like, I think this card is really good.
Yeah, I think this card is good, but I wouldn't have thought it that good. But yeah.
You have to be super aggressive.
Yes.
You have to be super aggressive. I think the reason I think this is so good is I think they did something like this in the not too distant past, and it ended up being really good. Maybe it made a 3/3, but it was something like this. It was like, if you trade with me, I get a creature. If you don't trade with me, I just force through damage. I think it might have been like +3/+0 and cost 1 in a red, and then made a 3/3, and it was like, that's obviously I think better than this because that 3/3 is real.
Yeah, 3/3 is that.
But I think this could definitely get there. This could be the cornerstone of a deck. Like, I'm not even saying this is going to start with a high win rate, but it might get there, just on the aggression. Because like this does it with your cloak stuff too. You know, it's like someone's gonna try to eat one of your disguise tokens, and you're gonna be like, no, actually trade, and I have a 2/2.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's good. Scapegoat. 1/1 haste for 1. When it enters the battlefield, suspect it. 1/1 haste menace for 1 that can't block. Whenever one or more other creatures enters the battlefield under your control, if Phantom Scapegoat was suspected, you may suspect one of the other creatures. If you do, it's no longer suspected. So it can transfer being suspected to anyone else.
Interesting. I mean, this is funny in a super aggro deck.
Yeah, I think it's quite aggressive. Aggro deck out of 10. Like, probably like a C+ in an aggro deck, honestly.
Maybe and a super... Yeah, maybe better.
It's haste menace, so maybe it's even a B-.
Yeah, it's guaranteeing you early damage, and it's giving any bigger damage you have, Menace, like...
Yeah, that's good. This is a B minus.
Yeah,
2
deal 3
mana,
damage.
3 damage. If you've popped a clue, it's 5, so basically 4.
Ah,
Still at instant, because
yeah.
you can... No, not... It's harder at instant. It has underwritten, like, sorcery speed in the second clause, because you're not drawing on your opponent's turn, so you have to pop 2 clues. Or otherwise draw. You see?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
interesting. So
Interesting,
it's like
yeah.
4 mana at sorcery speed, deal 5. I
Right.
still... So maybe that actually might actually bring it down a bit. That might bring it more to like a B minus minus. Still not going to say C plus because it's 3 damage for 2 mana. Whoa.
The art on this card, the name of this card.
Blow up a clue or eat a clue to be a 4/4 reach for 3. How do you feel about a 4/4 reach for 3 from the flying that we've seen?
I think that's a lot of card.
That seems
You have
pretty
to,
good. So does
you have
eating their
to stack
clue.
an artifact. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're eating their clue or you're eating your clue.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a good,
I think this is a
versatile
C plus.
card.
I think this is a C plus.
Wow. Yeah, I would have said it. I would have said a C minus.
I mean,
C minus.
you're sad if your opponent is cranking out 4/4s with this.
For
Like
sure.
you for sure are playing the 1 in a blue draw card investigate with this guy. This is maybe the number 1 thing that I've seen for it. Like a 4/4 reach for 3 is so much stability. How are you? You're not losing quickly through that. They have to blow removal on it. Nothing's beating it then. The red spell we just saw isn't beating it then.
No.
We just valued that at a B.
All the flyers
minus.
eat it cost way more.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like this is a clue I'm interested in eating. I'm interested in eating this clue. In there.
Goblin.
What? I don't want to evaluate it. Acceleration for putting things face down. Who knows?
Weird.
Makes a 1/1 flyer every turn with haste. This is good, right? 2/3 that just makes a 1/1 flyer that self sacks every turn.
Yeah, it's just good.
That seems pretty good. Probably like a B minus.
Sackable artifacts.
Yeah. We should have gotten more popcorn. You're eating my last popcorn, Jacob.
No, I'm not.
You are too.
No, I'm not.
Unless you bought more.
I didn't.
Wow, this card is weird.
We should have gotten more popcorn.
You're onto something there. Yeah, very strange. Good. Is it innocent This is morbid flavor. You want the innocent bystander to take that. If it's gonna die, it needs to die.
Die with a vicious end.
Hold on, I got. Yeah, I want to do. I just. Oh, guys, whoops! This isn't my street. Don't mind me. I'll just be on my way while you're enjoying your very sharp knives.
He's gonna get fisted with that knife.
Man, that's rough. That's rough flavor, man.
Yeah, not great.
Speaking of, like
nice.
Clue, it's a clue.
Yeah, it's a clue.
Like it's a knife. There's a Clue equipment. It's an equipment that's a clue.
You're gonna wake up tomorrow with all the clues inside of you.
In which orifice? Let me know in the comments.
As first strike, +1, +0, and first strike.
I wish I'd read the other ones to know if this one was good. This one seems pretty good.
This seems pretty good.
Yeah.
First strike's excellent.
It seems like it. All right, we've got to be close now. Yeah, we're close. We're almost to green. All right. No one cares. Big creature that does something. This is a 2/2 that makes a 2/2. It's a 2/2 menace.
The 2/2 menace.
It's a 2/2 menace that makes a 2/2. I'm not gonna sit here and eat popcorn. I just want a little. Are you gonna shut up the rat in my mouth? Weird.
Oh.
That was a terrible throw.
It's hard to throw popcorn that far.
You want me to try? I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Just
You
yell
want me to peg you in the nose?
at him. Yeah, hit him hard
You want
with
me to
it.
peg you in the nose? You didn't even try.
Oh,
I made an effort. I
wow.
like this.
Winning. Yeah, it's just a good card.
Our 2/2 menace
Bodies.
makes a 2/2. Yep. Bodies.
Okay.
Whatever. Oh.
Wow.
This
This
guy's
is so silly.
pretty good. I think
Red
this guy's pretty
herring.
good. I like this. A 2/2 haste for 2 that if they do get to a point where they waste a blocker blocking it, then you
Right.
just sack it to draw.
Yeah, I do like this.
I like
It's
this.
very silly, but
C out of enjoyment. Shock! Didn't realize we're getting Shock and Lightning Helix back. It's
yeah,
just
why
like a
not?
C plus. B minus maybe even. It's very, very efficient. Okay, never mind. There's Disguise. In this set, this is a B minus.
Yeah,
B minus
yeah,
to B, actually.
yes, yes.
She realized that she could not, in fact, handle the truth. Hey, have you ever heard of overcosted red removal that's like a C? Well, this one has upside. It cannot be countered. And if you sack a clue, it actually reduces the cost by 1 net. Which is neat. Which actually makes it 4 damage for 4 that can't be countered, which is actually pretty good. This is like a C plus. Maybe even a B minus if you have a bunch of clues. Or otherwise... Now, if you can sack a clue for free... It's still not an instant, but that's pretty sexy.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
This could
like
layer pretty good with those other things, you know, that I was hot on that
Yeah.
just like sacked artifacts for free. You have a huge turn.
Yeah, that would be brutal.
Excess
Or
damage.
just a witness.
This is good. Want to read this? Hey, is there like a cycle of these? Because there was Bury the Witness or whatever as well. Was
Yes,
like the Oblivion.
for sure a
one?
cycle of
Yeah,
dead
read this one.
witnesses. Torch the Witness. Red and X. Sorcery. Torch the Witness deals twice X damage to target creature. If XX damage was dealt to that creature this way, investigate. Well, that's pretty easy. This card
Yeah.
is really good.
Yeah, twice X is a lot. So for 2,
Twice X is a shit ton.
so for 3, you're doing 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably a B plus.
Yeah, this is sure plus premium mass removal.
Whenever an opponent sacrifices an artifact, it deals 2 damage to them. This is a really good aggressive card. That's a detective.
It is a really good aggressive card.
It makes clues feel bad.
He
C plus-
definitely.
C plus to B minus, depending on
Yeah.
how prevalent. Oh, we're finally green. Let's speed run the mess out of this. This is
Yeah.
the mill. Green's the mill. That's where it's coming in. 1/3 ETB mill 3. You get all the
Okay.
lands back for 4 acceleration. So green is evidence. Green is the evidence
Yes, green is literally
enabler. Okay. That seems fine.
Yeah.
So what, 1/3 for 2. I like it. It's like a C plus probably. Against hexproof.
Gonna do
Airtight
it. Has
alibi.
flash. Airtight alibi. 2 and a green. Flash an enchantment. Enchant creature when airtight alibi enters the battlefield. Untap enchanted creature. It gains hexproof until the end of turn. If it is suspected, it's no longer suspected. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and can't become suspected. Yeah, it's just a trick that makes something big.
It's bad.
It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think you're playing that. It costs 3. That's a lot of mana to hold up to just do
That is-
that if they use
Yeah.
removal.
No.
4 mana for a fight with +2/+0. It costs 2 less to cast if you collect 6 evidence. Remember, we have to look at evidence as an enabler for other things as well, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So and green can do it. So at 2 mana, this is pretty good, even though it's a sorcery. A 2 mana bite effect with also +2/+0. So that's not a fight.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. So this is
Pretty
probably
cool.
it's probably like C to C plus, depending on how good you are at powering evidence.
Go Thomas.
Huh?
Read this.
Okay. Case of the Trampled Garden. 2 and a green. When this case enters the battlefield, distribute 2/1/1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. To solve, creatures you control have total power 8 or greater. Whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature against trample until end of turn. Total power 8 or greater is not a lot. But you really have to have 2 creatures to want to do this, which means you're 1-drop, 2-dropping. Among 1, I guess you can just do it to 1. So you just play a 2-drop. This makes it a 4/4. Then on turn 4, you play a 4/4. It immediately solves. And then whenever you attack, then your 4/4 is an attacking 5/5, but it'll happen next turn because it solves at end step. So
Right.
your first 4/4 will not immediately be a 5/5 with trample. But it's specifically only good if you have a 2-drop. So I guess it does immediately solve later in the game and is then pretty good. I think this is like a C. It's kind of iffy.
Yeah, I don't like this card.
Okay. Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, you get a 2/2 and investigate. This is a collect evidence payoff.
Yeah, holy shit.
A creature and a card every time you exile a creature. It is a creature specifically. So this is why we were confused about the. I mean, this is why someone was confused about that power thing. Because some things do care about creatures being exiled. Yeah, I mean, build around B out of evidence collection. You know, that's
right.
That's the guy.
Entirely.
Forces something to block when it ETBs. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. It's like a C plus probably. Giant growth, or not giant growth, Titanic growth, but worse because he gives trample. Don't care. Big for forests. Gets 2 forests, puts 1 into play and 1 in your hand if you disguise it. So, if you're mono green, it's presumably a 6/6 on 5 when you flip this. If you're mono green, that keeps getting bigger. But generally, I don't think you're playing this right. I don't think
No.
This is like a
you have to very much be in green. So
yeah, very much mono green. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control and gains reach. They printed this art is amazing, by the way. They printed this sometime earlier, I think, and it was like surprisingly good. Offensively, actually, because you have like 5 creatures and it's like 1 mana +5/+5, and that's just a massive swing blowout just on the unblocked one, like to get through lethal.
it'd have to be in Simic.
No. I think Selesnya would be fine. Or maybe even
Maybe Celestia, just green white.
Yeah. Or it can maybe be in Gruul as well. Gruul seemed kind of aggressive.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. It's too big and too little stats for me to care. It must have something powerful. When it's turn face up, put a 1/1 counter on each creature and they gain trample, and it's just a 4/4 for 4 with a massive flip. It counts itself as well. So it's a 5/5 trample when it flips up.
A wild finisher.
Yeah, busts everything. I mean, I think this is good. I think this is like a B. Yeah, like you said, I think it's a massive finisher, and it's a 4/4 for 4 as a fail case. It's like a B minus at the worst. You're just getting to play it for free because we haven't seen a lot of 4/4s for 4. I don't think we've seen a 4/2 flying for 4. This is just a 1 mana bite effect at sorcery.
It's good.
Sure, B minus. Don't get blown out by cheap removal. Choose to untap or tap. Collect 4 evidence. Target land becomes a 5/5. I don't care. I don't think so. I love this card. I guess we do have to spend since we're going so fast through this, we do have to spend just a little time on this card because this card is amazing. I want you to read this card.
Right.
See if you can understand it. I'm gonna get
Killer
some water
Among Us.
understand this card. I have it
Or-
memorized.
Okay. 4 and a green enchantment at uncommon. When a Killer Among Us enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token, a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token, and a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Then secretly choose human, merfolk, or goblin. Sacrifice a Killer Among Us. Reveal the chosen creature type. If target creature type token is the chosen type, put 3 1/1 counters on it, and it gains Death Touch until end of turn.
See what's going on here? So you make 3 1/1s, and you secretly choose one of them that's the killer. And then at any time, you can sack this. It doesn't matter what they're doing. You just need to be attacking with one of them, right? Presumably all of them. And so they're kind of like trying to Yahtzee which one to block.
Yes.
And so you can hold out sacking this. So if they block the right one, like the killer, then you kind of do have to sack this, right? But if they don't choose the killer, then you could sack for to do more damage. Or you could, if you would prefer the trade, then you just hold it. And if they spend removal, they can't really spend removal to remove one of the tokens unless it can deal 4, right?
I've never seen a card like this.
Because maybe
it's very interesting.
That's the weirdest part to me is you really can't remove the 1/1s. You can't spend anything to remove the 1/1s because running the risk of it just eating it, if it is the hidden 4/4, is a blowout that you kind of don't want to roll the dice on.
Goldilocks over here definitely did it.
So
all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, fair. Well, you can just always pick human. So just straight up, this is a 4/4 and 2 1/1s for 5.
Yeah.
Right? In one sense. Like, imagine you just attack with one of them on the next turn. Like, it's obviously the killer, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you trade with their biggest thing, because yours is a 4/4 death touch, so it doesn't matter what they block with. And then you still have 2 1/1s. I think this is like I think it's like a B minus.
Really? I think it's a C plus or a B minus.
Yeah.
I think it's just very good.
I like it. I love the card. I think
it's very versatile.
A 3/3 that investigates for 4, and it becomes a 4/4 vigilance when you draw your second card. Seems fine. C minus. Here we go. 2/2 for 2, flips up for 1. It goes and gets a land and puts it in your hand. This is a mana fixer. This is the 5-color dream.
Or mana ramp. Right.
It's not ramp. It puts it in your hand.
Oh. It's weird, but yeah.
Sacks an artifact, sacks an enchantment, sacks a creature with flying. 1 green. This is pretty good in the sideboard. This is almost playable main deck with what we've seen with flyers.
Yeah.
The amount of flyers and enchantments, like this could eat something that would very much lose you the game for 1 green mana, so that's attractive.
Yeah, that's very attractive.
4/2 hexproof for 3. It can't be blocked by turn down creatures because it's a pompous gadabout.
Gadabout. Yeah.
Gadabout. Stand aside, nobodies. He says.
He said, "Delaway pores."
Pores. By my cookies, pores.
This is funny. I like this card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 4/2 for 3. Like.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I don't think it's very good. It's like a C. Hey, have you heard of these? Her clues. Maybe these are all good. 1/1/2. Reach can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. That was not as good as the first strike one.
No.
1 mana 1/1 that surveils 2 on ETB, and you can exile it to put a 1/1 counter on target creature. This card's good. This is a playable 1-drop. This is for sure a playable 1-drop.
Yeah. Surveils 2. I mean,
surveils 2, and
the evidence collection.
Look at this weird sweetness going on over here.
Yeah. I don't want to mess with that Bobcat.
This is the Pontiac Aztec of Bobcats. When it attacks, collect 3 and then put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control for 3 mana. This slaps.
Yeah.
This slaps. This is really good. This is the payoff for the evidence. Both sides of the evidence, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're triggering it, you're paying it off, and you're getting any other triggers with it.
Yeah.
Um,
This card is really good.
Yeah, this is like a build around B for sure. And it's just good.
Oh,
in
this
general, I
card.
think. 0/0 ooze X counters X is the total number of cards. A single card. I don't know. Okay.
Look at the value of that card. Look at the value of that card.
$4.
It's a common.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. One of those meme put a bunch of them in your deck things. Land card, battlefield, investigate. Rampant growth that redraws.
Pretty good.
Slow. 5-color dream is alive. Base green is definitely there. Basic land cycling on a 6/5 trample for 6.
Yep. That's good.
It's fine. Yeah. Mana ramp. All of this art is incredible.
This is an adorable little mole.
It gets bigger too every time
It
you
gets
play a
bigger
face-turn
and
creature.
it's a ramper. It's kind of wild. I like this card.
Yeah, this seems good. This is like a C+.
Yeah.
It's a C+.
Maybe even a B minus.
No, probably not that good. You have to be really deep in disguising. Turn face up, blow up an artifact or enchantment, but it's a 5/5 for 5. That's not terrible. That's one of the better big dumb things we've seen.
Yeah.
1/1 counter on target creature you control. And gain 2 life, but you have to evidence 6. But it is just a 1/3 reach for 2. I think reach is kind of at a premium because of what we've seen. I think this is not bad.
Yeah.
I think it's like playable.
Yeah. I don't really hate that, but
We did it.
we did it.
We did it. We did it. V2 Gaussian Spectre. No, we haven't done it. I lied.
Oh, Thomas, I was
we've
going
all-
to have a pop off and you ruined it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't deserved. Wait, maybe
We
I'm
haven't
lying
seen
again.
that.
We haven't seen that, but I want to see if there's any artifacts. Maybe there's not any artifacts. Maybe we have done it. Oh, there's these.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, let's actually read these. Cease and desist. 1 in a hybrid Golgari for cease, which is exile up to 2 target cards in a single graveyard. Target player gains 2 life and draws a card. Yes, sure. This seems fine. I like that. No, all right. Desist. 4 hybrid Selesnya. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. We're almost done. Get your computer back. This seems good. I like this.
If they do not make this a full borderless card because of this scene,
Yeah, you like the art? You like the art?
Yeah,
It's good
like
art.
it'd be good just to have like this cool panorama. Anyway, yeah, cool has multiple uses. I'm in for it.
Is this like a B minus? It's probably not that good.
It's
like
not that good. It's like a C plus. It's a C plus.
You know what? You can use this on yourself to like get just those exile triggers. That we've seen.
Or just getting something out of your graveyard.
All right, you're good.
Flotsam and Jetsam. Hybrid green blue. Jetsam is 4 and 2 blue or black. The Flotsam is an instant, mill 3 cards, and investigate. Hard driver for evidence. And Jetsam is each opponent mills 3 cards, and you may cast a spell from each opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast this way would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead.
Well, that seems good.
That's good.
These slap.
Yeah, these slap. And you can play this in a blue, black, or green deck, or any combination of them.
Well, it's either you can play it in anything with blue, or you could play it in green blue, or you just play it in anything that's blue. Is maybe the easiest way to
Anything
say
that's
it.
blue. Anything that's blue.
Or black if you just care about Jetsam, or green if you just care about
I think
Flawsome.
Jetsim's
Jetsam's really good, I think.
pretty good.
I'm more willing to just play Jetsam because it basically just says get the best thing out of your opponent's graveyard,
Yeah.
which is pretty nutty.
Yes.
If they collect evidence at instant speed, it could screw you pretty hard. That would be funny.
Yes.
This counters it. You cease yourself. They're like Jetsam you, and you're like cease. That's probably why it mills 3, because they can't get rid of this 3 that you mill before this resolves, right? So you always have a chance to hit something. I think this is like a B probably. This overall,
it's just good.
Maybe B minus because like this side's fine too. Right, fuss and bother. That's an awesome. That sounds like I'm playing Lorcana.
So good.
Oh bother. 2 and Boros or bother is 4 in double Celestia hybrid, and fuss is put a 1/1 counter on each attacking creature you control at instant speed. It's not a bad combat trick. And bother is a sorcery for 3 Thopters, and you surveil 2. So 3 1/1 flyers, and you surveil 2 for 6. This isn't, I don't think, quite as good as the other ones. Bother could be pretty good. They do kind of complement themselves well, right? Like, if you had already effectively bothered, fussing then is pretty good, which makes sense. It would
be hilarious if you had multiples of these.
Yeah, because there's nothing like a bother than one that's fussing.
Yeah, and this would be great in, just to have in an Orzhov deck. Because
you can just play it in Orzhov, exactly. Yeah, that's probably where it's best. I think that's where it's best for sure, is in Orzhov. That's the joke about these, right? Is the base color is what they're best in. It's like, this is best in base green, this is best in blue, this is best in white. Which then goes in Orzhov. This is cool, but I think this is probably just like a C to C plus, honestly.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think that one's more of a C to C minus, honestly.
Here you go.
Hustle and bustle. Got blue and a red, or sorry, 1 cost for blue or red, and bustle is 4 and 2 hybrid rule. Instant is hustle. Target creature attacks or blocks this turn if able, which is a nice trick. Really annoying, honestly, really good.
It seems pretty good.
Yes, and then bustle is a sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. You may turn a creature you control face up.
That's a bustle.
That's good.
That's a bustle.
Especially when the whole point of turning things face up is the tricks. So
these
can do that and give it +2/+2 and trample.
These are incredibly different effects. Like,
they are
dramatically
universes.
They are diametrically separated. These other ones are all kind of similar, but this is one's like some really weird pseudo removal that will probably work, but could blow you out in a really unfortunate way. Like, surprise, I had a combat trick. Like, you better be ready to deal with a potential combat trick if you play this. Because if you force them into an attack and you think you have good combat and then they blow you out in combat with a combat trick, you have lost the game.
You have literally lost the game.
And bustle says you probably win the game. So I think bustle is the better side of this.
Is this a C?
I would be tempted to put it higher just from bustle. I don't know how interested I am in hustle, honestly. I think it's obviously the best in Gruul probably. Because hustle, if you're in the condition where like they're tapped out for whatever reason and you can force them to block, I think will be the most common scenario. Yeah. Where they're just really sad. And then it's great. It's great one mana.
Very strong then, yeah.
But I am never playing this in just a blue deck. No.
Yeah.
Bustle, I think, is more inclined to just win you the game. Like, if you don't hustle, then you can always bustle and just win on 6. Yeah. I would also consider playing some of those big dumb disguise flips for sure.
Yeah.
Like those things that flip for 7 or whatever, like the 6/7 that flips for 7.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane with this. You're cheating 7 mana. Like,
Yeah,
because you just have it disguised for 3. I mean, yeah.
And
I think
it has trample and 2/2.
Bustle is actually really good. I think because it also gets trample exactly. So I think Bustle might actually be like a B. Like this ends the game, and you can put dumb things in your deck to like really accentuate this. This is gonna blow
Right.
people out hard.
Oh yeah.
You're
Because
dead.
you can't plan for it.
Yeah, just gonna get bustled up on. Push and pull. This one's me. 1 and Orzhov to destroy target tap creature. It's a sorcery, unfortunately. That's still undercosted normally for that effect. If that was an instant, that would be cracked.
Yeah.
Pull 4 Rakdos for a sorcery. 6 total. Put up to 2 target creature cards from a single graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. They gain haste, and then you sack them at the beginning of the next end step. C. C plus.
It's yeah.
If you can self mill.
Cool to have. Yeah.
So weirdly, this is Golgari. I'm pretty into this in Golgari with the self mill. I don't think.
Yeah. That's literally what I was just thinking.
If I'm desperate for removal in white, which I'm probably not because they have an Oblivion Ring at common, and I don't think I'm at all playing this in red unless I also have the blue somewhat self mill that blue has, like that one Simic. You know the Simic hybrid we saw mills in blue is an uncommon one of these split cards.
Yes.
But probably not. I think this is strictly a Golgari card, really.
I think you would want a Golgari for sure.
Yeah, I think this is maybe like a B- in Golgari, to be honest. It's pretty versatile. It's removal. It's
really
like
versatile.
Yeah, maybe even a B. This is what I was thinking of. Artifacts. It mana filters, but only once, and then you get to exile a card when you exile it. Whatever. You're hoping to God you don't play this. D. But I guess if you want to live the 5-color dream, maybe that's part of it. You don't control it any time. This isn't bad, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's like a C-.
I mean, yeah, it's silly.
I guess that's how it is. A 4/5 for 5, where you can pay 2 to look at face-down creatures you don't control at any time, and it like disguises itself for whatever reason. Who cares? You're not disguising it, probably. A 4/4 for 5 equipment card from battlefield attached to it. You can sacrifice whenever you sacrifice an artifact, it gets bigger. This is fine. This makes you want to play clues, right? Because you sack the clues.
Sure.
Is the joke. Right, this is specifically good with clues. So this is a 4/4 for 5 that on ETB reanimates an equipment card and attaches it to it, and whenever you sack an artifact, it also gets bigger. So it works with clues both ways.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is really cool.
You want to know the pro play with this card? Here's the pro play. You have a bunch of mana. You have 7 mana. You play this. You put its ability on the stack. You sacrifice your clue and equipment.
Yeah, your
to give it the 1/1 counter.
Yeah.
So it gets the 1/1 counter from the sack. Then you reanimate it, then attach it to it for free.
Yeah, that's obviously what this wants to do.
Yeah, you've cheated the equip cost entirely and drawn a card. I mean that's cool. That's a clue build around. Actually, that's wild. This of all things, a magnetic snuffler. Is a clue build around.
I love this
I
magnetic eater.
Maybe it's just good enough too, because like sacking artifacts counts real clues, not like the clue equipment clues.
It's not till end of turn 1/1.
Yeah, this might be good. Equipment build around. I'm just like taken aback kind of by the design of this. I mean, how good is this? Is this a B-? Build around B-, regular C+ even? Regularly?
This is a regular C+.
Yeah, that might be a little aggressive, but that's really cool. Oh, we've seen Magnifying Clouds. Don't care. Surveil 1, 2/1 for 2. This is fine. This is a C, I think. I think that's a C. Yep. If you care about Explore at all, it's a C. This card is interesting. I want you to read this. Do you know about this card?
No.
I want you to read
Branch
this.
of V2 Ghazi. Tap to add colorless. Disguise 3. When branch of V2 Ghazi is turned face up, add 2 mana of any color until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. I think it's just bad.
I
This
did the
guy's
first time I
3.
read it. It's actually good.
It's this guy's 3.
Yeah. But what
It's
you're
mana
not
filtering, sure, but
what you're not realizing one aspect of it, which I didn't at first. It might not be great, but I think it's actually good.
because you don't lose mana as the steps and phases end.
That's
So
not
you
exactly it
save it
either.
for the next turn.
No, that's not it either. It will
Okay.
end still at turn. At turn, it will still clear. Here's the trick. This is ramp. This is 0 cost mana ramp, which has maybe never been printed. Do you see how it's 0 cost mana ramp?
Because it doesn't. Because it doesn't cost as it's not a land.
Right. It's not a land. It's a creature.
It's not
And
a
then
land
next
when
turn,
it's disguised.
and then next turn you undisguise it for free. So it does cost mana. Like you still have to disguise. You still have to play it down as a
But it
2/2
is.
for with War
Yeah,
2. But
it is mana ramp.
but the next turn it will ramp
You-
you for free and fix you that turn.
Yeah, but you want to disguise it for you want to spend your turn 3 doing this.
But you're doing this anyway. So it's like a slow mana fixing ramp card that is also a creature for a turn. So like maybe you just leave it as a creature if you don't feel like you need ramp. You're just like I have a 2/2. Maybe they spend removal on it because they're scared. So here's the thing. Realize that the things that you have disguised for longer in the game, people will get procedurally more suspicious of, which is
Right.
kind of wild in the story, like the theme of this game, right? You're like, my God, are they gonna uncloak this for 7?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And you're like,
That's
it's a branch of a tree.
Yeah, and maybe you wait to turn 5 and then drop a bomb on them and ramp yourself.
I'm certainly not taking this high, but I really want to try out just to see how functional this is.
Yeah.
And if there is a 5-color dream here, which there might be, this is an important part
it's
of it.
possible. Oh, for sure.
I think there could be. I think the 5-color dream is alive just from how many colors we've seen make these white blue detectives. Like you can, what I'm saying is that 2 cost colorless thing that we saw at the very beginning, it might be like really playable. If you just happen to get the right mix of cards, like if you get the black card that can make the blue-white detective or whatever. There was a couple of not blue or white cards. There was like a red one, a black one, maybe one in every color, maybe a couple in the colors that would make these blue-white detectives, right? And then we've seen from the hybrid fixing, you really only have to be in like two main colors that aren't blue and white in order to do the 5-color dream. And like that payoff is so huge, and by itself, it's getting you a land and fixing you anyway. So it's slow and it doesn't do much, but if you do hit the Yahtzee, like I'd be very tempted to play that card if my deck could hit the Yahtzee. If I had 2 ways to hit the 5 permanent Yahtzee, I'm almost certainly playing one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
At least to try
I
it.
think there's multiple ways to get there.
This is a wild card. It's just evolving wilds, and then they stapled. You can basically land destruction yourself to force through something with power 2 or less to win. Really weird.
Yeah, really weird.
This is probably like a C+, honestly, because like evolving wilds is like, I mean, I guess it's a C. Evolving wilds is like a C-.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost you. Perfect timing.
Nice.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna evaluate these lanes. I'm donezo's. Now I just have to edit this, which will take a while. Which I will do tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for joining, Gabe. I'll talk with you more afterwards. This is fun. I think we did this as fast as possible, and it was still a billion hours.
Literally as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Hasta la vista,
Baby?
Yeah.
Okay, this one we can talk about. You want to take this one?
Yeah.
Also, look at the
Neighborhood.
art, by the way. Look at the art.
Yeah. No, This almost looks like the Lord of the Rings art.
Yeah.
So Neighborhood Guardian, 1 and a white creature unicorn. 2/2. I hope he's dead.
Yeah, me too. Doing?
Step on him.
Pop up right here.
You did not sneak. That is not at all what happened. You made a very large
All the way
motion.
to here.
Yeah.
And then when I tried to like come up right here, I just went.
Good.
I
Good.
set her up so she can watch it.
That's
Just
just watch
die.
you be an idiot. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Well,
God damn it.
The camera saw it. The camera saw it.
Yeah,
I'll watch it in post.
I want it just a slow mo of him smashing his head into the
Yeah,
desk.
I'm gonna keep replaying him hitting
Yes.
himself over and over
Yes.
again.
Yeah. I
And
need
I'll
an
send it to
instant-
you for sure.
Hi, Gabe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
I can't
Fool.
hear you. Go fuck yourself.
He's been building Lorcana decks. Lorcana deck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I have to interrupt this broadcast.
Oh no. Is it? Could it be? Oh goodness.
Oh, hello, my large
Oh.
loaf.
Oh,
Biscuit
no.
says
Oh,
hi.
Hey,
Oh,
Biscuit.
you have deep purrs.
Oh no.
Sweet.
Where's the
boy.
ASMR? I wish you had the
Face.
Yeti. I wish you had the
I
Yeti.
know.
Hey John.
You'd
Tell
be able
John
to
hi.
hear him purring.
Hey John.